The story kicks off in Nanrong on Awakening Day for the 12th graders, with a massive rift totally photobombing the local vibe. Meanwhile, the bus bounces down the city streets with students buzzing the whole ride. The MC's eyes pop out of his head, completely mind-blown, looking around in pure shock. Catching his classmates' hyped chatter, a massive wave of relief hits him as he realizes he actually time-traveled. Checking the view out the window, Zhang Yan confirms it's graduation day, the exact date everyone headed to the station for their class awakening. Mind racing, he pieces together that there are exactly 2.5 years left before dark threats completely wipe Nanrong off the map. 15 years ago, monster dungeons just randomly dropped on Earth, spawning creatures that gave humanity a totally unprecedented reality check. When folks tried to raid these zones to clap back, they quickly found out that magic turned modern weapons into literal garbage. Luckily, humanity figured out that 18-year-olds could awaken unique powers, leveling the playing field. After some heavy clashes, humanity secured the gates, and society got a permanent reshuffle. Because of this, any teen hitting that age has to hit up a tower to pull their class, which is split into 3 main skill trees. These categories are combat, support, and crafting. Combat is the absolute meta, while crafting gets treated like total trash. Gripping the bus pole, our guy remembers that in his past life, he totally lucked out with a rank F crafting class. However, his innate passive was so busted it let him tweak one word in any item's name, flipping absolute junk into top-tier loot. In his past playthrough, he messed up by flexing this skill and got snatched by the higher-ups, who forced him to upgrade items non-stop. Even though he could turn literal trash into godly relics, his power seriously spooked those same authorities. As a result, they kept him on house arrest, hard-capping his progress to control him until the big catastrophe dropped. On one specific night, a colossal magic dragon boss, level 96, busted out of its lair, causing a never-before-seen tragedy in the zone. Realizing they'd try to take him out in the chaos, he swapped his revive magic for a rebirth spell and managed to dip. As his flashback wraps up, the bus pulls up to the massive city dungeon, and the students excitedly get ready to bounce. Zhang Yan decides his past haters are irrelevant now. Equipped with his godly passive, he's doing a solo carry this time. Staring at the danger zone through the glass, he swears that in this second run, he'll never leak his secret to randoms. Keeping his mouth shut is also the ultimate play to keep his family and squad safe, plus stopping another citywide wipeout. From here on out, his game plan is to grind in secret and get swole enough to protect himself and his VIPs. The bus parks at the majestic Awakened Association HQ, officially launching his brand new playthrough. At the main entrance, the class nervously waits, sweating over the nightmare of rolling a crafting class and praying for any basic combat title. As our guy walks in, the other students stare, betting the school's #1 nerd is gonna pull an insane skill. Salty as ever, a hater mutters that good grades don't equal a good awakening, pointing out the MC's lack of a flashy family background. The jealous kid keeps yapping, claiming even folks with high magic affinity can end up with the worst class in the game. Ignoring the background noise, the head teacher walks up to the whiz kid and asks him to roll first to show the others how it's done. Guiding the students to the giant altar, the teacher tells him to chill and place his hands on the floating crystal orb. The instructor on duty hops on the mic to call up the valedictorian, kicking off the evaluation phase. With a confident stride, he walks up the pedestal steps, completely sure of what's about to go down. Unlike the nervous Rex watching him, the kid looks at the altar fully knowing what the RNG gods will say. In the crowd, the girls are rooting for an epic drop, while his bitter rival is praying he rolls a tech class and totally flops. He quickly touches the glowing orb, and a massive burst of purple magic energy lights up the room. The magic reacts crazy fast to his touch, flashing so bright it nearly blinds the front row. Next, a giant golden pillar of light shoots up from the floor, flexing to the crowd that the initiation was a major success. Dropping everyone's jaws, the floating screens flash the results clearly, slapping the word Tinker in bold letters. The status screen spills the tea. Despite his flawless magic affinity, he rolled a dreaded rank F crafting class. Face-palming hard, the teacher looks absolutely crushed by the screen, unable to believe such a hardworking kid got hit with such a massive L. On the flip side, the salty rival points and bursts out laughing, throwing a party because his toxic prediction actually came true. Hyped beyond belief, the rival admits he lived in the prodigy's shadow for 3 years and finally got his payback. Trying to do damage control, the teacher steps up and gently notes that fixing hunter gear can still secure the bag. But before he can finish his pep talk, the crystal orb lights up again, throwing off an unheard-of blue glow. The head official's eyes bug out as he screams for quiet, yelling that the orb is still cooking and a double awakening is happening. Shook by the plot twist, the teacher remembers that dual classes are mega rare and the second pull could easily fix the first one's flop. Another blast of energy floods the massive hall, swallowing the kid in an epic tornado of light. As the glow fades, the leaderboards refresh and proudly highlight his second class, Farmer. The full diagnostic pops up for the peanut gallery, confirming his farming vibes and giving him 2 embarrassing rank FS on the same profile. Absolutely defeated by the RNG, the teacher goes mute at the sheer bad luck, mourning how things went from bad to worse. Laughing until he cries, the jealous rival bends over, completely roasting the genius who pulled a humiliating double F. Without breaking a sweat over the heckling and trash talk, the kid pulls his hands off the glowing altar and walks down the stairs like a boss. Meanwhile, the rest of the student body watches with pity, whispering about how tragic it is to see the MVP turn into dead weight. He strolls solo through the massive main hall, while the crowd whispers that his whole academic grind was basically for nothing. Walking away from the clueless haters, a confident smirk drops on his face as he thinks about them judging a book by its cover. Standing tall with his eyes on the prize, he knows full well that real power isn't about these starter labels. In his big brain mind, he's already looking at his secret UI, the surreal, innate modding skill that totally breaks the game's rules. Swiping his digital panel, he quickly swaps his plant growth speed buff into a wildly overpowered ally revive spell. The system greenlights the extreme mod instantly, flipping a basic farmer trick into a flawless healing cheat code in 1 second. Hyped with his loadout, Jiang Yan figures that playing this sneaky strategy gives him the ultimate ace in the hole. Staring hard at the outdoor leaderboards, he promises himself his gamertag will be sitting at the #1 spot real soon. Chilling on the busy sidewalk, he enjoys daydreaming about the moment he forces the elite to taste the power of a low-tier player. After all, locking down the top rank means a massive loot drop, which is basically step 1 for his ultimate boss mode project. The very next morning, he pulls up to the newbie training zone, a safe space server where rookies can farm XP without getting wiped. The kid is fully aware this is easily the most secure spot in town to speedrun his leveling without drawing unwanted aggro. Plus, smashing the speedrun record for that dungeon drops major points that'll fast-track his entry into the top-tier local academies. Laser-focused on scooping up every achievement, he marches to the gate, totally ready to crush any old high scores. The guard on duty checks his sign-up sheet, grumbling about how rare a dual class is, even if his combo is absolute garbage. Feeling bad for the kid, the guard asks if he's really doing a solo queue, warning him the mob density inside is brutal for someone with his stats. The second security guy nods hard and politely suggests he step back and find a carry party before trying to raid the place. With total chill and zero hesitation, the MC turns down the friendly advice and stands his ground, just asking for his starter pack. Watching the kid's insane stubbornness, the guards figure he's just coping hard after going from top student to total flop. Sighing from exhaustion at the kid's persistence, the guard finally slides him the basic gear box the guild hands out to fresh Awakens. Checking the loot, he spots that alongside his basic iron sword from his past life, the nice guard slipped in some extra boots out of pity. Right on cue, the system flashes the stats for the iron sword and leather boots, both sitting at a basic level 1. Looking at the noob gear, Jiang Yan tells the guard he gets the good vibes, but definitely clocks it as proof everyone thinks his classes are a joke. Just then, the massive metal doors of the training hub slowly grind open. Stressed about the rookie, the official yells out, telling him to hit the panic button if the mob aggro gets too crazy. Strolling smoothly into the dark hallway, the kid throws up a hand to say thanks for the heads up. Facing the giant structure, he's hyped knowing he'll soon put everyone at ease when he drops his endgame stats. Without missing a beat, he fires up his innate modding talent right on his shiny new weapons and armor. The digital screen flashes crazy fast, confirming his sword just got armor piercing and his boots now give a massive mobility buff. Testing the weight of his buff steel blade, he calculates that turning it into a magic weapon would make it even more cracked. But remembering the server has security cams everywhere, he decides it's smarter to keep a low profile in the early game. Bad memories from his past run pop up, reminding him of the massive grief he caught for leaking his cheat skill. Moving deeper into the shadows, he decides that even without turning his starter gear into mythics, they're a plenty strong for this lobby. Hitting the lit-up arena gate, the system pings that the zone is split into basic, advanced, and the final boss raid sectors. To lock in a new time record for this floor, you absolutely have to reach the zone's guardian boss. The main quest requires the player to take out at least one of the giant rabbits running the area. A bunch of aggro level 1 rabbits spawn in the shadows, ready to body block any trespassers. Gripping his sword tight, our MC locks onto the goal of speedrunning to level 5, guessing he needs to farm at least 100 of these beasts. One of the critters completely unhinges and lunges at him, aiming for first blood. Without taking a single step back, he sprints full speed right into the massive mob of jumping beasts. Abusing his boot buffs, he lands a tactical strike, knowing he needs level 5 stats to even think about raiding the wolf base. Steamrolling the first enemy with ease, he admits the zone is a nightmare for noobs but an absolute goldmine for farming XP. Spamming fast attacks into the pack, he realizes his combo meter could basically carry him straight to level 10 in one go. With fast tracking secured, his main objective is to unlock a supreme legendary skill the second he hits that milestone. On paper, this godly tech lets you craft the most mind-blowing magical beasts on the planet. Seeing this epic future, his drive to break his old limits goes totally off the charts. While deleting another mob, he thinks of Yang Hongwei, a cocky old rival who probably already finished his awakening. Miles away in the massive school hall, the teacher calls up that exact problem student to the crystal altar. The kid is dripping with ego, convinced any mid-tier class would be enough to dunk on his rival's double failure. The second he touches the orb, a massive shockwave of bright energy floods the whole evaluation room. The display updates instantly, confirming he rolled a violent, rage-based combat class. The screen flashes the highly hyped rank A, making the kid throw his hands up and cackle like a maniac to celebrate the W. The crowd loses their minds over the high score, remembering he was always stuck in second place academically for 3 years. Pointing at the audience, the arrogant kid announces that from this second on, calling him the forever number 2 is strictly banned. Tugging at his clothes in a hype-induced frenzy, he puts his massive ego on full display for everyone. Screaming at the top of his lungs, he demands the crowd acknowledge his undeniable new main character energy. His fanboys hype him up, roasting the old academic genius who could never throw hands with this kind of combat stat. Looking around, the bully searches for his rival, loudly bragging that the loser probably ran off to hide. Right then, a classmate chimes in that he spotted the guy heading straight for the newbie training grounds. Hyped for a chance to troll, he rallies the squad to head over and turn the worst-class kid's life into an even bigger nightmare. Watching the circus from afar, 2 teachers gossip about the MC's terrible RNG and how the rich kid just abuses his family money to start drama. One of the mentors gets a flashback of all those late nights watching the genius kid study until he basically passed out in class. The memories also replay the kid's insane physical grind, running track until his stamina bar hit absolute zero. The teacher sighs hard, remembering how the kid tanked brutal tests in the magic labs without crying about it, mourning his current tragic status. Completely rejecting that doomer mindset, the other teacher swears a low rank will never stop that genius from leveling up. Totally confident, Wang Qingtang leans on the window. He knows what he's talking about since he's the second most respected master at school. The veteran fighter says dead seriously that nobody here grasps the sheer grind and thirst for a W that this kid has. A quick flashback of a crazy sparring match between the two of them pops up in the school gym. On that epic day, even totally gassed and out of breath, the student's iron willpower earned the teacher's ultimate respect. Squinting his eyes, he decides to slide over to the training zone to keep tabs on whatever mess the rich kid is plotting. Walking down the long hallways, he declares that the only opponent worthy of his respect can only be beaten by himself, throwing shade at anyone else. Back inside the dungeon, Zhang Yan sits on some rocks to chill, catching his breath and admitting that pulling that much aggro at once was rough on his current stats. Surrounded by a massive mountain of defeated mobs, he breathes easy seeing only the area boss is left to clear the room. The giant level 5 Rabbit King steps into the chat, acting totally feral and flexing a massive crystal horn on its head. Checking his HP, the kid notices some serious internal debuffs, but sees his XP bar is sitting pretty at 94%. The giant beast scrapes the stone with its paw, winding up for a max power heavy attack. The monster charges like a missile, kicking up a massive dust cloud across the whole arena. Dodging the absolute unit's charge, the kid knows a direct hit would mean game over, but claims he's got the perfect strat to end the run. The giant boss moves fast, charging up its natural passive to gather blazing fire on its own head. Facing the threat, our MC pops his modding skill, proving this was the exact opening he was baiting out. The glowing panel shows the fire charge was just edited into a fatal explosion, forcing the beast to literally blow its own mind. Totally glitched out, the massive boss jumps into the air with its head flashing like a ticking time bomb. An epic boom lights up the arena, deleting the boss using the energy of its own hack skill. In the thick smoke, the kid hits level 5 and trolls the situation, saying an enemy doing a self-KO is a massive help. Outside the building, the global leaderboard drops the insane time record of 26 minutes and 9 seconds to clear the basic zone. The preppy kids stare at the monitor in pure denial, recalling the old record was over an hour and this time is just mathematically broken. The bully grinds his teeth in pure rage, refusing to accept that trash classes could speedrun like that, instantly crying hacks. He yells to the whole lobby that using exploits to beat the tutorial zone will permanently ruin the ex-genius's reputation. With a dark, toxic look, he takes the lead, deciding to march in there and expose the alleged cheater to the whole server. Totally oblivious to the drama, the MC chills on a rock and pops his newly crafted healing spell to regen his HP and fix his cuts. His brain is already visualizing the nightmare fuel of the next boss, knowing full well the next phase is gonna be way sweatier. The terrifying image of the Cyclone Wolf King pops into his head, bringing up the insane struggle that Beast caused in his first playthrough. Resting his sword on his shoulder like a boss, he claims this second run is the perfect time to settle that old score. The dark path leads straight to the rookie grinder, a brutal penalty zone almost every noob runs away from. In the darkest corners, ruthless high-level beasts camp out, acting like an impossible roadblock compared to the level 1 scrubs nearby. He knows for a fact that if a standard noob steps foot in there, they're just gonna get deleted by the crazy raw damage of those mobs. Scanning the map, our MC realizes the loot drops in this advanced zone are absolutely broken. The system confirms that if he tanks it and claps the Wolf King, he can skip straight to level 10 in one shot. Normally, a rookie would have to grind for 10 whole days just to hit that score. But doing a full room clear here guarantees an insane, almost instant XP jump. Hitting that milestone also means unlocking his second passive and getting the pass to solo hunt in the wild zones, which is clutch for his master plan. Right then, a grumpy guard body blocks the kid at the gate, asking if he's seriously crazy enough to solo this server. The official warns him that a while back, a martial arts prodigy got absolutely wrecked by this place and missed his exams. Giving him a disgusted look, the guard asks if a useless double F rank just wants to sign his own game over screen. Keeping it cool, Zhang Yan respectfully thanks the boomer for the warning, but states his lobby is already locked in. Tilted by the stubbornness, the supervisor says he won't stop the kid from throwing his run, making it clear he washes his hands of it. Ignoring the toxic chat, the kid walks slowly, joking that he's not pausing his playthrough just because a dog is barking. A bit further down, the aggro cyclone wolves howl in the shadows, ready to shred anyone who steps into their aggro range. Using the rocks on the ground for a boost, the student sprints full throttle right into the aggro pack. He draws his shiny sword, announcing it's finally time to flex his real stats. Up above, the instructor watches and mutters that a double F rank with this much ego is a glitch in the matrix. Watching the reckless play, the supervisor assumes the kid is just a cocky scrub who thinks he's the main character. But Zhang Yan shakes the whole room, slicing the mobs with pixel-perfect hits and vacuuming up XP at warp speed. Completely shook, the guard's jaw drops, unable to process how the kid is easily carrying without even popping class skills. Sweating bullets, the instructor swallows hard, starting to wonder if the kid might actually be a literal god-tier player. After a sweaty combo sequence, the last basic wolf drops to the rocky floor. Panting hard, the MC sits down to chill on top of a bizarre mountain made entirely of monster drops. Seeing that surreal flex, the supervisor quietly admits to himself that the kid is the definitive GOAT. Super embarrassed for laughing at him earlier, the guard decides to ninja vanish to avoid looking like a clown when the kid finishes. Catching his breath inside a green healing aura, Zhang Yan admits the raid was sweaty, and he would have hit the respawn screen multiple times without his cheat. The rebirth passive stays toggled on, making sure his stamina and HP bars max out while barely sipping any mana. Chilling on his throne of loot, he agrees these wolves have way higher speed and DPS than the tutorial rabbits. Grabbing his own wounded arm, the kid complains that even with the heal, the sharp pain from the debuffs is still annoying. With a violent yank, he pulls his sword out of the stone floor, proving he refuses to take the. With a sharp, laser-focused look, he decides minor damage isn't worth crying over when you're busy rewriting your own save file. The massive Wolf King finally spawns from the dark, and the kid takes his stance for the final boss battle. The colossal unit roars like crazy, showing off sharp fangs and eyes with a creepy green glow. The UI tags the boss as a level 10, noting its fur is synced with wind magic to buff its evasion. Thinking fast, the student checks the wiki in his head, remembering the boss has 2 fatal skills focused on speed and slicing. The screen confirms a speed buff and wind claws, a combo that can output absolutely busted damage. Reviewing his options, he figures that trying to hack these spells mid-fight might cause a glitch that gets him wiped. The giant beast charges while growling, forcing the kid to make a split-second call on how to parry the hit. In a flashy move, he rips off his already shredded shirt, flexing his build and getting ready to go all out. Wrapped in a strong aura, Zhang Yan figures it's best to solve this using the most unga-bunga direct method possible. He confidently states that, besides having god-tier skills in his loadout, he's got another massive passive. Launching an epic jump straight at the boss, the kid flexes that he's the absolute best in both the books and the brawls. With his sword glowing bright, he drops a heavy plunge attack on the wolf leader using max power. Meanwhile, outside the starter zone, some rookies stumble out, just happy they didn't get totally wrecked. The bully squad celebrates surviving, breathing easy that they managed to extract safely. Suddenly, a guard pops up screaming, super tilted, asking whose bright idea it was to raid the advanced floor underleveled. Extremely salty, the rich kid takes the scolding and questions how that trash Jiang Yan cleared the room when he flopped embarrassingly, even with a full squad. Mad at his own skill issue, the cocky kid points and yells that the ex-genius definitely used aimbot or hacks. The global screen updates the stats, showing Jiang Yan cleared the hard mode boss in a ridiculous 53 minutes. One of the squad members drops his jaw, remembering the old record was over an hour and a half, meaning the runtime was literally chopped in half. Lurking in the shadows, an association exec smiles and hypes up the insane speedrun. With a villainous smirk, the bully decides if his rival dared to exploit the game, nobody will judge him for the toxic play he's about to make. Hyped for the drama, he orders his goons to march to the boss room exit to completely cancel the rival's clout. In the middle of the wrecked arena, the hero's sword sits triumphantly on top of the deleted Cyclone Wolf boss. Shirtless and rocking battle scars, the kid clenches his fists and gets hyped for finally hitting level 2. The info screen lights up, confirming a massive spike in his HP stats and the unlock of his highly requested farmer passive. With a tired smile, he celebrates the W and moves fast to toggle his innate modding cheat. The system runs the command instantly, merging his farming tech and turning it into a universal grafting spell. The tooltip explains this godly passive lets you fuse 2 different mob races to spawn a wildly overpowered unit. Looking at the spell's glow in his hand, Jiang Yan admits that even with some level caps, the magic is absolutely busted. He spaces out looking at the skill tree, dreaming about the legit chance to craft mythical beasts just by merging common trash mobs. He visualizes giant supreme summons, planning to burn tamer scrolls to lock in permanent contracts with these units. Using this strat, the UI states anyone can pull the most loyal and broken battle companion in the game. Deep in thought, the kid remembers the massive carries he pulled off in his past run using this exact meta. Bitter memories pop back up, showing the silhouettes of all the jealous mods who cornered him and forced his game over. Snapping back to the present, he grips his sword handle tight, with an unbreakable drive to flip the script this time. Doing a big stretch in the middle of the boss room, he calls the grind session a flawless victory and decides to log off for now. Before leaving, he gets a jump scare noticing the dead boss dropped a shiny premium magic crystal on the floor. Walking through the empty arena, he admits the zone's loot technically belongs to the devs, but focuses on the fact he now has the VIP pass to the open world. Looking ahead, he realizes all the drops he farms in the wild will be 100 his, which totally fixes his broke boy status. Suddenly, he touches a slash on his chest and groans, noticing the auto-heal didn't trigger for that debuff. Checking his wallet, he complains that hitting up the hospital for a basic patch-up would cost him money he simply doesn't have. Going full galaxy brain, he decides the cheapest strat is to literally force a respawn on purpose and let his supreme passive do the work. But spotting the guild mods hanging around, he realizes dropping his HP to 0 near them would look super sus. Sheathing his sword, he figures it's way smarter to find an empty alley and drain his stamina bar fast and quietly. Drone footage shows the kid walking out the massive metal gates of the training hub, leaving the aggro zones behind. Stepping onto the street, the bright sun hits his face in a packed plaza, with tons of students anxiously waiting for the patch notes. Jiang Yan has zero clue why a massive lobby is camping outside. A random kid instantly points a finger, alerting the chat that this is the noob who just shattered the world record. Strolling casually, he figures his broken speedrun ended up drawing the attention of the high-level upperclassmen. Surrounded by the mob, he decides the server is way too crowded, and there's no way he's popping his revive skill right now. His HP keeps ticking down, but the kid knows using a god-tier heal in public would bring massive unwanted aggro. Focused on keeping his stealth build intact, the boy turns his back and tries to outmaneuver the nosy crowd. Out of nowhere, a massive holy beam drops right on him, totally catching him off guard. A giant angel hologram spawns behind him, dropping a golden aura that instantly clears all his debuffs and heals him to full. The student body is totally shook, instantly recognizing the overpowered rank S healer class called Holy Angel. Walking up with a green glow and massive main character energy, the heir to the elite Yao family approaches. The students are completely mind-blown seeing her, whispering they'd never expect to spot Yao Keek chilling in a basic lobby like this. Feeling his HP bar max out instantly, the MC admits her support play landed at the perfect frame. The rich girl hits a high-fashion pose while staring him down in the middle of the courtyard. With his debuffs mostly cleared, he gives a super polite shout-out for the clutch emergency heal. Taking advantage of the moment, the kid points out that healing is super vital for him, hinting he can pay her back by fixing her gear later. Yao Keek instantly agrees to the terms, warning she'll cash in the favor if her weapons get nerfed in future raids. Right then, the chill vibes get ruined by Yang Hongwei's toxic sarcasm, as he walks up calling the prodigy a straight-up hacker. He raises his weapon and yells at the chat not to fall for this totally scripted fake-out. Pointing aggressively, the bully screams that the record-breaking clear time could only be pulled off with dirty exploits. His whole argument is based on the fact that a rank F crafter literally has a 0 in their combat stat. Mega tilted, the guy says it's mathematically impossible for someone like that to solo the dungeon, let alone shatter the speedrun clock. The only logic his brain can process is that his opponent swiped a credit card for busted pay-to-win gear to get the score. But he makes sure to remind the crowd that the prodigy is super famous for being flat broke. The hater then assumes the kid is embezzling the school's scholarship funds to buy premium weapons. Swayed by the heavy accusations, the peanut gallery starts whispering that carrying a broke kid was nice, but the hidden truth is super cringe. Completely unfazed by the toxic drama, our MC sarcastically asks if the bully wants him to prove his innocence right this second. Taking the bait effortlessly, the bully demands he unequip all suspicious gear and 1v1 him to prove his real stats. Stressed about the duel request, the rich girl tries to step in, telling him to mute the guy since he owes exactly 0 explanations. Thanking the girl for the backup, he casually rests his sword on his shoulder looking completely unbothered. Squaring up for the 1v1, the kid simply announces he accepts the old hater's challenge. With a deadpan face, he states he needs to speedrun this beef before it delays his XP grind. Treating the whole thing like a meme, the bully explodes in rage, reminding everyone he's a rank A warrior about to body a non-combat scrub. An angry red aura pops off the guy, triggering his auto-passive that drains HP to heavily buff his physical stats. They both take their spots in the giant plaza, ready to settle the score in front of the whole server. Looking at the aggro stance, Zhang Yan sarcastically says the pose is scary, hoping the guy doesn't run out of stamina holding it. Noticing his rival wants to stat check him relying purely on class tier, he stays totally chill. The kid realizes the idiot's only real flex is his magic rank, which means absolutely nothing in a legit skill match. Getting into a pure brawler stance, he declares that players with actual raw mechanics carry the fight, even without class buffs. Glowing red, the big dude throws a hyper-aggressive rush at his target. Watching from the sidelines, the support girl feels bad about the matchup, whispering it's totally unbalanced for a DPS to duel a crafter. Rocking 0 weapons, the hero casually mentions he reset his entire loadout to factory settings before leaving the dungeon just to avoid this exact drama. Standing there with empty hands, he flexes that he has 0 fear of being called a hacker in this brawl. The opponent ignores the flex and throws a massive, magic-infused haymaker straight at the prodigy's face. With a smooth, pixel-perfect dodge, the kid steps out of the hitbox, leaving the other guy totally stunned. Unable to process the lag, the bully's eyes go wide when he realizes his fastest attack just hit empty. Panicking, the tilted warrior starts mashing buttons, throwing a non-stop flurry of angry punches. Moving with crazy high frame data, the prodigy dodges every single strike without sweating, while his opponent screams in pure rage. Checking the DPS of those punches cutting the air, the hero admits a berserker's raw damage is actually pretty solid. But he quickly points out that a one-shot attack is totally useless if your accuracy is 0. Super chill, the kid explains that button mashing randomly just burns your stamina bar for no reason. Finding the perfect frame opening in the big guy's defense, he lands a heavy critical hit right in the center of the opponent's face. Staring down the enemy on the floor, he notes he spent 3 years downloading the guy's moveset, while the dude never even bothered to read his. The impact completely unplugs the bully's controller. He spits on the ground and looks dizzy, totally incapable of processing his own game over screen. The massive unit faceplints onto the plaza tiles, making his goons panic sprint over to play medic. Looking at the knocked-out kid, Zhang Yan brushes off his outfit and confirms his skill ceiling is still miles above that entire squad. The surrounding players are basically paralyzed, stuttering about how a crafting class just styled on an elite fight. With the beef officially squashed, the champion announces he's not wasting another second there and turns his back on the lobby. Marching out with purpose, he declares his next map is the highly lethal open-world zones. But to survive the massive aggro out there and stress test his modding skill, he first needs to secure some high-tier base loot. Leaving the tutorial hub, the kid hits up a crowded street market full of stalls, planning to price-check the gear they've got. Adding up his leftover pocket change, he sighs hard, realizing even shopping at these sketchy pop-ups is gonna be a struggle. Out of nowhere, somebody's hand moves and chucks a small item right at his face. Without blinking and with god-tier reflexes, the kid's hand shoots up and snags the item perfectly before it hits. Staring at the soda can in his hand, he instantly recognizes the thrower and jokes, asking if the guy is really recycling that tired old opening move. The newcomer walks up and hypes up the reaction time, saying he'd expect nothing less from the guy who held the #1 leaderboard spot for 3 years. With 0 time for filler dialogue, the MC tosses the drink right back to his old rival. Catching the can, the buddy admits he was spectating the entire plaza brawl against the bully from a safe distance. He pops the tab looking totally relaxed and admits that aside from the MC, he thinks trash mobs like that bully are completely worthless. Taking a sip, the kid points out that during the quick 1v1, it was super obvious the genius wasn't even using his main character's stats. A blurry flashback rolls, showing the two of them going head-to-head in a massive gym back in their freshman. Back then, the opponent, totally out of stamina and roughed up, had to swallow his pride and accept the... Snapping back to the present, Zhang Yan grabs the drink and points out that ever since that match, his buddy basically threw every rematch they had. He highly suspects his buddy was just waiting for an excuse to intentionally hand over the champion title. Laughing super hard, the guy denies throwing the match, joking that he just got totally jump-scared by the MC's toxic try-hard face during the fight. With sharp eyes and a challenging stance, Zhang Yan asks if they queue up in the rookie tournament, is the old rival gonna hit forfeit again? His buddy thinks the call-out is hilarious and swears he'll combo the hero until he's picking his teeth off the floor. Staring at the kid dead serious, he adds he's bringing his sweatiest loadout to that fight. To lock in the unspoken hype, the duo fist bumps their cans in the middle of the street like total bros. Walking away backwards, the old rival tosses a credit card, saying it's loaded with 2,000 as payment for the dungeon guide. The MC catches the plastic midair looking slightly shook, while the other guy waves from far away telling him to drop the tutorial ASAP. Watching his bro's avatar fade into the trees, the genius agrees to drop the walkthrough without making a fuss. With a chill expression, he silently promises he'll bookmark this massive carry and pay it back with interest later. Spinning the card in his fingers, he realizes he finally has the budget to comfortably browse the black market drops. Strolling happily down the block, he wonders what kind of hidden Easter eggs he can find in the junk piles. He quickly hits a super chaotic and sketchy market, famous for being the underground black market hub. Scanning the zone, he remembers the loot here is mostly starter trash, making finding an epic drop almost impossible. Even knowing the RNG is terrible, the kid keeps the faith that pulling a legendary isn't totally 0%. Suddenly, he stops at a low-budget used weapons stall and locks eyes on some swords jammed into the dirt. The UI flags a level 10 meteor sword buffed with wolf magic, but its durability bar is sitting in the red. The vendor claims the price is 18,000 firm, making the kid realize the market rate is way too toxic for his current balance. Shifting his focus to a much more basic blade, Zhang Yan asks for the price check and gets hit with 5,000. The interface drops the stats for the blue steel sword, showing okay DPS but only half a durability bar. Thinking fast, the kid offers to repair the meteor sword for free, but only if he gets the blue sword as payment for the carry. The merchant lowers his glasses, completely shook, asking if the kid actually has such a broken repair skill. A blue light spawns in the kid's hand as he offers a live tech demo to prove his stats aren't fake. In his galaxy brain, he calculates that using his secret modding cheat, he can craft absolute miracles with the budget weapon. The reality is, his master plan was always to flip the common drop into a legit mythical tier weapon. Still skeptical, the vendor asks for the kid's rank, reminding him that restoring durability is a mega hardcore mechanic. Ignoring the boomer's doubt, the hero calmly admits he's rocking the absolute worst tinker rank in the game. Crossing his arms, the merchant claps back that he's also in the crafting guild and has a way higher rank than the kid. The veteran grips his premium item, stating even he wouldn't guarantee a successful roll, deciding to teach the cocky noob a lesson. The vendor explains the core mechanic. The second an item's durability hits 0, it shatters into useless pixels. To reverse that debuff, you absolutely have to read the weapon's magic coding and rebuild it flawlessly from scratch. Trolling a bit, the blacksmith warns that a bad roll will degrade the item worse, and says he'll charge a massive fee if the kid bricks the sword. Unfazed by the threat of massive debt, the kid radiates pure confidence, pulling the aggro of random players walking by. Spectating closely, the rich trust fund girl whispers nervously that even veteran devs get a headache trying to pull off this patch. Facing everyone's doubt, the kid simply asks the lobby to watch his next move very closely. He injects his mana into the sword, flashing back to when he used to spam repair god-tier loot for the server's top whales. While casual crafters logged off, his toxic obsession with perfect stats made him grind this skill to the absolute level cap. With eyes glowing with confidence, he's hyped that all that brutal grinding just became his ultimate weapon in this run. The sword's magic code reacts instantly to his fix, patching the bugs flawlessly in real time. Now holding the 100% restored item, the student announces that fixing low-tier junk is as easy as breathing. The street lobby is totally mesmerized, hyping up the massive skill of a random kid with the worst class. The support girl watches in total awe, admitting to herself she thought he was capping when he offered to fix her gear earlier. Keeping his usual chill, the genius hands the restored sword back to the vendor, showing the durability bar is maxed out at 100%. The merchant grabs his item, totally stunned, and admits he judged the noob way too fast and totally missed the mark. Keeping his word, the blacksmith hands over the blue blade as the promised loot for the flawless carry. The MC gladly accepts the drop, already plotting to swap a single word in the code to turn it into an insanely broken artifact. Popping open his secret UI, he tweaks the sword's magic foundation and types in its new title in a split second. A golden aura wraps the metal, proving the weapon just got patched into a semi-divine relic with absolutely busted DPS. This weapon carries the lore of the godly warrior who bypassed enemy shields flawlessly without ever taking an L. Hyped with his new drop, the kid calculates he can finally stack enough gold to pay the insane college tuition fees later. A super dark memory hits him, showing his parents' funeral and the heavy debuff his sister carries from the trauma. Even knowing the girl's got an epic future ahead, he takes a deep breath, accepting he needs to carry her expenses before he goes to study. His deep thoughts get interrupted by a familiar voice, asking if she could hire him as a carry to grind some levels. Turning around, he sees the rich girl offering a cool 50,000 to be escorted to level 10 inside the training zones. Without a single second of lag seeing that massive bounty, the kid accepts instantly, making the client sigh with massive relief. Playing it cool, the student is internally screaming with hype seeing free money literally walking up to him. The girl walks straight up to the stall and announces she's buying the premium meteor sword without even trying to haggle. The vendor almost jumps out of his shoes and confirms the heavy price tag, making sure the rich girl isn't trolling. The student slides over a premium case with the cash, making the vendor realize from her ring that she's an absolute whale. The vendor treats the girl like royalty, bowing deep as he hands over the patched sword like it's a legendary diamond. Watching from the back, the kid figures her designer skin always screamed that this kind of cash was just pocket change for her clan. Holding the massive metal sword, the girl shyly walks back to her newly hired carry. After a quick think, the kid decides her pocket heals will be super clutch for face-tanking the next unknown boss. The rich girl offers him the heavy, brand new blade, practically begging the kid to take it as a symbol of their new party. The prodigy's eyes go wide, totally shook by the premium gift, admitting the girl's move is insanely generous. Not doing that fake "I can't accept this" routine for a top-tier drop, he drops a thank you for scoring a premium weapon for zero cost. Happy he took it, Yahello figures that dropping some gold to friend a player with an uncapped skill ceiling is a big brain play. Resting the epic sword on his shoulder, the kid announces the duo is marching straight to the hub to start the hardcore grind. The massive guild building shadows the blue sky, signaling the start of the new rookie's raid. In the starter zone, the hero slices rabbits with stupidly broken mechanics, power leveling the girl so fast her jaw hits the floor. In the advanced sector, he leaps with a brutal plunge attack and deletes the wolf leader, smashing the server's old records back to back. Outside, the association's jumbo screens broadcast in massive font that the new duo completely hijacked the leaderboards. The crowd swarms around, pointing at the monitors, totally shook that the prodigy broke his own record while carrying a total noob. Among the gossips, one guy asks about her family lore, sending a massive shockwave through the lobby. A student quickly drops the wiki info, explaining her clan runs one of the nation's biggest trade empires, with literally infinite wealth and power. Meanwhile, deep inside the danger zone, the rich girl is gasping for air, begging for a pause from the insane speedrunning pace. Without dropping a single frame, the ruthless carry states they'll regen stamina while walking, convinced her stats can tank the pressure. In the darkest corners of the dungeon, a massive nightmare fuel monster opens its eyes, patiently waiting for the raiders to drop in. Scanning the new map, Jiangyan hypes up that this is the only tutorial zone officially flagged as a level C threat. The massive structure housing the Dark Flame Boar renders right in front of them. Stressed about the duo's HP, the mod warns that the area boss is massively more lethal than the mobs they just cleared. With zero fear, the hero claps back, arguing that the highest drop rates are locked behind the hardest boss fights. Backing up her carry's call, Yahello points out that her rank S heals give them a highly legit win condition. A bright teleportation aura wraps the duo and the guard signs off, wishing them good RNG on them. Walking through the freshly unlocked map, the kid thanks the official and pushes for. Checking out the foggy trees, the girl thinks it's super sus that there are no trash mobs on the path. Clearing up her confusion, Zhang Yan explains low-tier mobs don't spawn here because there's only one supreme boss running the server. Totally shocked, the girl asks if the strat is to just rush mid and instantly trigger the final boss fight. Suddenly, the entire floor starts shaking with heavy footsteps, and the kid pings that the boss aggro is incoming. From the pitch-black woods, a colossal silhouette spawns in to drop a major jump scare on the raiders. Shook by the enemy's massive hitbox, the girl takes a step back, but the swordsman readies his blade, stating only bosses this big are worth his time. The violent monster lets out a heavy roar, popping off intense blue flames all around its skull. The UI flags the level 15 creature as wildly aggressive, noting it outputs an insane heat debuff during combat. Prepping for the engage, the hero tells the girl to spam her holy light on him while he trades blows with the unit. Sprinting at max speed, the student decides he absolutely has to land the first hit of the fight. Hitting a massive jump, he takes the high ground to catch the beast slipping. Using his falling momentum and a mid-air spin, the kid tries to land a critical strike straight down the boss's throat. Reacting to the threat with crazy high frames, the creature tilts its snout up, trying to literally eat the attacker mid-flight. The colossal beast jumps up covered in blue fire, perfectly body-blocking the young warrior's trajectory. Shook by the monster's anti-air counter, the hero realizes his weak point strat just got cancelled. Frozen in the air for a frame, he decides to rename his sword while the girl isn't looking. The UI executes the command instantly, flipping the basic blue sword into a holy relic. Covered in the artifact's insane glow, the fighter knows the boss stands zero chance of tanking this mythical blade. The sword's updated stat sheet shows a massive spike, granting max armor penetration and busted raw damage. Seeing that surreal glitch, the kid hypes up his ability to delete the game's logic and spawn an overpowered treasure. Dropping down with max gravity and buffed DPS, the young player goes in for the ultimate finisher. Swinging a straight chop at the beast, he announces the fight's momentum is entirely his now. The impact slices the air and kicks up a massive dirt cloud across the forest floor. The absurdly violent strike sends the massive animal flying backward with an epic sound effect. The second his boots touch the dirt, Jiang Yan toggles the mod off, resetting the weapon's name so the girl doesn't catch him cheating. Stunned by the cinematic, the girl refuses to believe a basic sword just pierced the beast's mega-tanky armor. Totally mesmerized, she figures that broken feet didn't come from the gear, but from her teammates' ridiculously high skill ceiling. Watching his back, she thinks the kid's combat mechanics easily gap the top-tier warrior students. Noticing his support is AFK in her thoughts, the kid focuses on the aggro and yells that they can't afford to go AFK right now. Rushing her, he asks for the heal buff, warning that if she doesn't assist in the kill, she'll lose out on all the XP points. Snapping out of her lag, the girl says thanks for the ping and quickly casts her light spell right on his avatar. While the beast roars covered in fire, the swordsman declares it's time to hit the final game over screen on this raid. Buffed by the holy magic, he calculates that live editing skills mid-fight could unlock some galaxy brain attack strats. Deep in thought, the hero wonders if it's better to mod the light buff or his own weapon for the ultimate finisher. Doing the math on the risk of a fatal glitch if the edit breaks the cap, the genius decides not to totally throw the run. Across the arena, the boss pops its ultimate and charges in, radiating an absurd heat wave. Gripping his blade tight, Jiang Yan waits for the pixel-perfect frame to end the match. The beast dashes like a blue meteor, totally wrecking the ground on its path with massive force. Reading the enemy's rage art, the student figures out the exact word he needs to swap to secure the W. Casually turning his head, the guy tells the girl to close her eyes. Gripping her staff, the girl gets totally confused by the random shot call. Flexing pure confidence, he says what's about to happen is gonna be super graphic, which makes her instantly shut her eyes. Abusing her lack of vision, the genius drops his hidden cheat code right onto the monster's skill. Using the UI, the kid changes the beast's explosion dash into an extreme slow motion depth. The patch goes live instantly, nerfing the animal's speed to basically zero right mid-dash. Reactivating the mythical sword's power, the warrior rushes the stunned target, calling GG on the fight. With one flawless slice, he splits the monster in half, and the interface instantly drops the boss defeated notification. Vacuuming up a massive XP drop, the fighter celebrates skipping 2 whole ranks in a single boss fight. Leveling up 3 times in a blink, Yao Kexin notices the stat change and asks if the boss is actually dead. Stashing his blade, the kid realizes making her close her eyes was the ultimate big brain play to hide his cheat code. Looking at his teammate, he thinks having a loaded, chill support with pocket heals is gonna be top tier for future raids. In a smooth tone, the student tells her she can open her eyes and that they totally hit the leveling milestone. Following the prompt, the rich girl slowly opens her eyelids to check out the boss room. Seeing the giant carcass turning into pixels, the girl is amazed by how clean the clear was. Super hyped, she praises the kid's massive IQ for soloing a threat of that level without needing a cure. Packing up his inventory, the hero says the quest is complete and signals it's time to extract. Totally fascinated by his vibe, the girl thinks about how the kid is a rare top-tier player who actually honors his trades. Firm on her call, she asks him to wait a sec, making the kid turn around curious. Tossing an item in the air, the girl says it's the promised quest reward plus a tip for the hard carry. Catching the drop carefully, the warrior instantly IDs it as a super premium dimensional storage ring. The system confirms that artifacts with magic inventory slots cost millions of credits. Trying to hand the epic drop right back, the kid says he can't just take such a crazy expensive freebie. Keeping the trade window open, she smiles and says the ring is way more meta for him, and the massive level boost she got already settles the Thinking ahead to his solo jungle runs, he admits a portable vault is gonna be insanely clutch for hoarding loot. Dropping the fake polite act, he accepts the item and drops a thanks. To return the favor, the kid promises to carry her again in the future, as long as it doesn't violate his own terms of service. Hyped with a successful raid, the two casually walk to the extraction gate. Out on the street, the guild leaderboards refresh, showing off the sweaty rivalry between the server's top rookies. Walking out of the hub, Jung Yan tells the girl that even though he's rank 1 right now, the tryhards with high-tier classes will probably pass him soon. He recalls the top scorer from the rival academy rolled the busted rank S martial class called Sword Saint. Another sweaty competitor is Lu Yuan, who pulled the elemental class focused on max speed and one-shot stealth plays. The hero admits they were all top players in his past run, and they'll definitely be his main ops for the server's #1 spot. With laser focus, he admits he's super hyped for the day he gets to 1v1 every single one of them. But before diving back into the grind, the kid knows he's got a main story quest waiting for him IRL. He decides he needs to fast travel back to his base immediately to check on his setup. In his last playthrough, he got dragged away by the devs and left his sister to fend for herself, promising never to repeat that trash ending. Waving goodbye to his millionaire teammate, he says he's got dailies to do and promises to queue up for another dungeon soon. Looking at his low-budget neighborhood, he remembers that after getting banned in his past life, he only got updates on his sister through random server gossip. Even knowing she's gonna evolve into a rank of warrior later, he knows her current early-game stats are suffering. Standing at the front door, the kid casually logs back into his house to meet up with the girl. His sister, currently just an introverted 15-year-old NPC, is prepping dinner and pings him that food is ready. The awkward vibe at dinner highlights how much her avatar glitched out ever since their parents got wiped in the magic rifts. 3 years ago when the squad was all together, he remembers how hyped and smiley she used to be. The brutal game over of their parents left a massive permanent debuff on the girl's mental state. Mid-bite, she drops the bomb that she plans to drop out of the school tutorial. Jump-scared by the update, the kid stops chewing instantly and asks what the actual heck triggered that. Totally lost, he points out her grades are S-tier in everything and quitting the tutorial now is an absolute throw. The girl says softly she checked his stats, saying GG's to the hero for taking the #1 spot on the rookie leaderboard. She hypes up her brother's endless grind, saying she has total faith he'll become an endgame warrior who can carry them both. Looking down, she cries that even with high scores, she doesn't think her endgame is as shiny as his. Because of that, she thinks the best strat is to get a job to help tank the base's daily upkeep costs. Giving his little sister a deadpan look, the kid calls cap on that story and demands the raw, unedited truth. A vivid flashback renders of the time a lone shark knocked on their door to demand payment on some old debits. The guy awkwardly apologizes at the door for bringing up microtransactions at a bad time. Sitting in the living room, the creditor explains his small indie bank is basically bankrupt, and he needs to recover his funds. The kid recognizes the NPC as Uncle Quan, the guy who spotted them the gold to survive the last 2 years. Realizing the collection event must have triggered this afternoon, he finally downloads his sister's real motives. The guy notes his sister checked the leaderboard, but knows they lack the premium currency to buy the needed magic upgrades. In his feels, he realizes she wanted to grief her own playthrough with a wagey job just to pay his academy subscription fees. He remembers asking the guy for the total sum of the accumulated debt over that time frame. The loan shark stated the original balance was around 40,000, apologizing for the kid's bad RNG but begging for the payout. On the spot, the student transferred 50,000 into the guy's hands, telling him to keep the change to cover the interest tax. Snapping back to the present, the sister's eyes bug out in shock, asking how he farmed that massive pile of gold so fast. Knowing she'd panic, he crafts the softest dialogue option to explain his new financial status and chill her out. Seeing the quest resolved, the loan shark accepted the loot with a smile. Logging out, the guy said thanks, and made it clear the dude could ping him if they ever needed support later. Stressed about the gold's origin, the teen claims their parents would totally downvote money from a sketchy server. Petting her head affectionately, the hero swears he farmed the fortune using nothing but pure mechanics. Confident, he tells her to chill, promising to max score the exams and scoop up the 300,000 prize pool. With a warm look, he makes it a hard rule that she must never brick her own leveling just to cover his gear costs. Moved by the speech, the girl grabs his hand and says he always has wall hacks for her brain. Tossing her a stack of cash to spend on cosmetics, the kid flexes that he has multiple farming routes he hasn't even touched yet. Hype motivating her to study, he jokes that his clout as the #1 bro is gonna put massive pressure on her stats. Laughing at the meme, he explains people will expect a lot from a genius's sister, basically forcing her to be the sweatiest player in her class. Crying tears of relief, the girl drops a massive thank you to her brother from the bottom of her heart. Giving him a huge hug, she formally swears she won't let the family guild tag get clowned on. Returning the good vibes, the kid calculates he needs to hoard mats and power level at the same time to secure the top rank. In his brain, he pulls up a map of an op farming spot on the edge of the city's mob spawns. The dreaded Poison Dragon Valley hosts a massive mob density, making it the absolute perfect server for his XP grind. On the flip side, old server lore says the bottom of that abyss hides rare elite mobs related to dragons. Visualizing a massive dragon boss, the kid knows these elites drop insane premium loot. Running the numbers, he realizes pulling a magic egg would let his grafting passive craft the ultimate broken battle pet. Hyped, he plans to vacuum up tons of crystals to flip on the market and multiply his gold stack exponentially. Totally locked in, he decides that tomorrow he's turning the lethal swamp into his first wild zone sandbox. The next morning, the transit drops him at the chaotic transfer hub, and the automated NPCs guide the safe exit route. Walking through the hub, he notices that bypassing the military firewall is gonna require serious patience because of the massive queues. The epic red-tinted wall cuts through the sky, splitting the safe zone from the hardcore military server. Wrapped in magic barriers, this citadel isolates the newbie lobby from the toxic, open world through a single choke point. The military base is run by 2 level 70 generals, admins the MC actually owed favors to in his previous save file. In the access lobby, the adventurers are tweaking their skins and heavy loadouts to survive the wild mobs outside. Comparing their gear to his premium cash shop ring, the kid realizes the average player is rocking straight-up common drops. Reaching the east exit under a red-tinted skybox, he confirms this route will fast-travel him straight to the poison biome. Checking the minimap, he figures the toxic valley, filled with level 13 to 18 mobs, is the easiest farming spot around. Radiating confidence, the guy declares there's no better sandbox to turbocharge his XP bar. Flashing his farmer class ID at the gate, he formally requests the server transfer out of the fort. The guard scans his badge and gives him a weird look, warning him the open world isn't a VR sim and permadeath is super common out there. Thanking the guard for the pro tip, the kid steps onto the dirt, promising he'll respawn back here without a single scratch. The security admin decides to step in, stating he won't let a squishy class noob throw his run over something stupid. Trying to physically block the reckless player, the guard captain attempts a sneak grapple from behind. With a crazy fast dodge roll, the kid avoids the military NPC's grab without even turning his camera around. The level 30 soldier stands there shook, completely mind-blown that a literal level 1 rookie just outplayed his grab. A squad mate pauses the scene and drops the lore that this is Jiang Yan, the prodigy who just wiped every record in the starter hub. Watching the kid walk off, the squad is completely mesmerized by the insane raw stats of a lowly double F rank. Strolling chill away from the spawn point, the kid thinks their panic is super funny, remembering not even the S-tier whales broke records that fast. The skybox instantly shifts at the entrance of Poison Dragon Valley, a green abyss totally choked with toxic fog and Dark Souls vibes. Looking at the gas, the kid realizes the real paywall is the toxic air, forcing players to buy overpriced potions if they want to avoid a wipe. He downs the consumable, complaining that 50 coins for a 3-hour buff is straight robbery, realizing being broke is still the worst debuff in the game. Right then, a massive level 19 poison lizard spawns out of nowhere, trying to jump scare and one-shot him from the sky. With zero panic, the fighter goes on the offensive, slicing through the mob super hyped because he desperately needed high-level aggro to rank up. Looking at the deleted mobs, he realizes it only took 3 of those elites to make his XP bar explode, getting him hyped to push further. Ready to maximize his farming efficiency, the kid pops his hidden modding cheat on his equipped weapons. With his glowing blade ready, he pushes into the hostile jungle with a toxic playstyle and 0 distractions. The UI greenlights the mod, turning the basic green sword into top-tier raid gear, making the kid officially declare the hunting season open. Sprinting like a madman, he deletes a whole spider mob and hits level 16, internally telling the server to just hit surrender. Without dropping a single frame, the student shreds a pack of lethal plants and skips straight to level 17 in flat minutes. The XP snowball doesn't stop as he farms a bunch of swamp toads, hitting the milestone casually during the massacre. Taking a micro break to sip water on a rock, the genius checks his stat sheet, extremely hyped with the speedrun pace. But the disappointment hits fast. The guy realizes that after deleting a mountain of mobs, not a single crystal dropped, making him rage over his terrible RNG. Suddenly, a sketchy voice asks if he was the one who solo-wiped that entire mob army, making the kid snap his camera around. Scanning the two players walking up, the MC instantly ids Lu Yuan, the absolute biggest S-tier whale from his academy. The newcomer rocks the supreme title of Wind Assassin and flexes his status as the mega-rich heir to the Lu clan. Super toxic, the rich kid's sidekick barks orders, asking if the kid is deaf and pretending not to see the VIP in the lobby. Standing up from the rock completely unbothered, Zhang Yan sarcastically claps back that if he didn't secure the kills, it's probably because their squad keeps lagging his game. The sidekick gets mega tilted by the comeback and threatens him, asking if the noob realizes what kind of top-tier admin he's talking to. Interrupting his minions' trash talk, Lu Yuan praises the mechanics he just watched and sends a party invite to his old schoolmate. Leaning on his weapon with zero respect, the prodigy declines the invite and gets ready to dip, instantly clocking that the elite just wanted to leech his XP. Furious at the hard decline, the sidekick asks why his boss didn't just grief the toxic noob right then and there. The rich kid drops a smirk, doing the math that if a double F made it to this endgame zone solo, he might be a hidden smurf, promising to 1v1 him later. Cracking his knuckles, the minion swears hell camp the scrub until he rage quits the next time they cross paths. Far away from that toxic party, the MC speeds up his sprint, realizing his inventory only has one potion left, and he needs to hit level 19 before extracting. After a solid hour exploring the deepest, sweatiest parts of the abyss, the young player moves through the bushes with zero audio footprint. Looking exhausted, the kid complains about the absolute zero spawn rate of any rare elite mobs on this brutal route. Staring at the creepy jungle skybox, he remembers the wiki lore about legendary winged lizards spawning here, finding it super weird he hasn't aggroed a single one. Out of nowhere, a razor-sharp blade slices the air, aiming to literally one-shot the wandering kid. Showing off literal god-tier iframes, the boy dodge rolls the fatal hit by pixels and is amazed by the insane stealth camp. At the same exact time, he 360 spins and drops a heavy sword combo on the slimy mass that tried to delete him. The warrior's eyes bug out in shock because his buffed sword literally bounced off the massive threat's hitbox. Through the toxic vape clouds, the terrifying render of a nightmare boss slowly comes into focus. The absolute unit's heavy footsteps crush the toxic green mud, making the entire environment shake. The UI scans the beast as the lethal magic frog king, chilling comfortably at an overpowered level 20. Without showing any tilt, the kid drops a massive grin at finding a boss spawn, claiming he's taking that premium core back to base. The frog wastes 0 frames and pops its CC skill, launching its massive tongue like a sniper shot. The boss spams fast attacks with broken attack speed, forcing the hero to admit the mob's frame data is just too good. With an icy calculating look, the hero speaks up, claiming he already downloaded the patch to cancel that lethal spam. Popping his class's hidden mod, he renames the attack into a totally random, uncontrollable flip. Abusing the spacing he just forced, the fighter jumps back, declaring the frog's run is officially dead. But when his hit connects with the boss's skull, the hero gets knocked back, realizing his raw DPS isn't enough to crack a legit boss's armor. Making the nightmare worse, the beast roars with a defense buff, and the UI pings that the enemy's level was higher than his skill cap, instantly nullifying the mod hack. Hitting the dirt, the student grumbles about the temporary L and realizes the massive risk of trying to mod overleveled mobs. Putting his guard up, he figures that hacking enemies with too much stat check either heavily nerfs the spell duration or just straight up fails. The massive amphibian fires its tongue muscle again, hitting even harder to flatten the cocky kid. Sliding smoothly across the mud, the student dodges the hits, keeping his hitbox strictly outside the danger zone. Analyzing this hardcore difficulty spike, the kid realizes his only out is to force a totally blind, high-risk gamble. Gripping his hilt, he pops his cheat code on his own gear, deciding to just embrace the chaos. The HUD glitches out wildly as it rewrites the entire magic code being forced into the weapon. A dark red shockwave explodes, converting the standard drop into the cursed Demon King's blade. Bathed in edgy red villain lighting, the kid wields the new relic that promises to delete the entire map. The sinister hologram of a demon spirit spawns behind him, and the item's stat sheet instantly spikes into completely broken numbers. With his arm sinking from the unreal weight penalty, he admits the mod got way out of hand, and he absolutely has to clear the boss before he turns to ash. Dropping a feral war cry, he unloads a massive red horizontal slash straight at the frog boss's head. The impact is so busted that the entire arena explodes, cracking rocks and completely wiping the map. Knocked down and hyperventilating after firing the laser, he panics seeing the cursed weapon literally drained his entire stamina bar to 0. Staring at his sword hand, he gets jump-scared noticing his skin changing color, realizing the curse is already applying a heavy rot debuff to his bones. Completely out of energy and breathing heavy, he desperately tries to mash his modding skill to revert the weapon's name and stop the dot effect. Since his muscles are totally AFK, he faceplints in the mud, complaining that hitting 0 stamina locked him out of casting spells. The arm corruption spreads ruthlessly, eating his HP and delivering a crushing, game-over level of pain. During this panic phase, a terrifying audio cue plays from the sword's hilt, promising the human will get permabanned to torture for stealing that ultimate power. The cursed hologram of the Dark Lord floats up, bragging that just a drop of his aggro could wipe the entire server. Pulling a massive Uno reverse card on the Infernal Lord, the student's free hand lights up with the blue flame of creation, proving this whole trap was perfectly scripted. Getting up from the dirt with a deadpan face, Zhang Yan says he already messed around with this exact sword in a past save file, totally ignoring the evil entity's toxic chat. Another massive boom echoes across the map, the exact second the kid pierces the sword's inner magic core that was hosting the demon. The system completely bugs out with corrupted text, while the evil voice screams it's going to drain his HP for such a disrespectful troll move. When the aura fades and he's left standing, the prodigy breathes easy as the screen confirms that evicting the demon's soul paused the bone corruption. Staring at the bricked relic, the genius calculates that once his stamina regens, it'll be easy to reset the title and delete the cursed blade from the server. Leaning on some logs to regen, he reviews his deleted save file, where a nearly identical server crash happened because of his crafting power. The flashback shows a massive raid, where a satanic king summon required the sweat of the server's top-tier whales just to stop a total wipe. Because of that traumatic raid, he memorized the boss's hitboxes, knowing that deleting the spirit inside the item was the only valid strat. Staring into the thick fog, the kid wonders if colossal raid bosses like that are hiding in the open world of this new playthrough. Holding the sword still glowing from the fight, the kid theorizes if those chaotic world bosses fast travel from terrifying parallel servers. In seconds, he decides his AFK time is over and it's time to loot the room, modding the gear back to its default state. Walking through the brush, he figures the swamp leader was a sweaty fight, so the loot pool and XP drops should be massive. Instantly, a premium purple magic gem renders in the mud, shining as the ultimate reward for the boss clear. The kid laughs out loud, price-checking the purple rock at over 100,000 on the market, promising to stuff his inventory with that cash. Plus, he scans the drops from the frog boss and the dozens of trash mobs he farmed earlier, confirming the massive market value of the materials. With the loot secured, his new objective is to dump it all on the black market vendors to fast-track his wealth. The UI tallies the XP from the giant toad and the hidden demon enemy, dropping so much XP that his level jumps twice in one pop. Hitting rank 20, he connects the dots that the hidden enemy was the cursed entity inside the sword. Totally shocked the game gave him XP for that. Locked in, he calculates if he could just spam this broken exploit forever to cheese the matrix and hit max level instantly. But with big brain logic, he realizes one missed frame on that satanic glitch would mean a permaban for him and millions of innocent NPCs. Dodging a ban of that size, the student decides gambling with evil devs has too high a penalty and permanently scraps the exploit. He quickly notices he broke another 10-level milestone, forcing the system to drop a new passive skill, and he waits hyped to read the patch notes. The screen flashes, unlocking an auto-loot vacuum and a standard poison resist buff that gets the kid insanely hyped. The instant loot guarantees a rich farming route in seconds, and by changing one letter in resistance, he plans to craft a literally invincible anti-damage shield. Standing in the fog, the genius accepts the heavy cooldowns of this perfect defense, but knows it's an epic panic button if he's ever one hit away from a wipe. Jumping smoothly over the thick jungle, he calls it a day on the grind and starts marching back to the base to hit his spawn point. Instantly, a blurry hitbox drops from the canopy, flying straight at him. Catching the attack frames perfectly, Zhang Yan immediately ids the Liu clan's guard dog, totally confused why this random NPC respawned here without his boss. The sniper lands hard on the rocks, holding a dagger clearly prepped for a one-hit stealth kill. Flexing his rogue stance, the guy totally roasts the hero, calling his class trash and getting super hyped that he ganked his target solo. He pops his passive speed buff to max his jump height, rushing and full of rage to body the student at all costs. Super chill, the genius MC trolls him, asking exactly when a low-tier scrub thought it was smart to trade blows with an actual top-ranked player. The hard parry and the massive recoil from Zhang Yan's sword explode the zone, kicking up a massive dirt cloud in the dark woods. Blown backward looking like absolute garbage, the guy spits blood, totally speechless because the MC's base stats were more than enough to fold him without breaking a sweat. Staring in pure horror at the kid, he notices the kid's giant blade was literally spawned from a super premium inventory ring. Dripping with envy, the rogue asks the universe how a broke ghetto kid is rocking a cash shop item like that without glitching out. Resting his sword, the student laughs and asks if the guy actually thought raw class stats and pay-to-win backgrounds could win a fight on autoplay. He disrespectfully lists off the warrior's strength, focus, and overleveled stats as his only crutch, explaining the dog is getting hard-gapped in every single category. Dripping with confidence, he finishes by saying even if the thug's official guild leader pulled up to settle the beef, the final score wouldn't change. On that exact frame, a lightning-fast streak cuts through the air from the thickest part of the surrounding trees. Blocking the metal with his own, the kid easily calculates that Lu Yuan stopped camping and finally entered the boss arena himself. The rich kid drops from the canopy with a fast combo, forcing the genius to tank the pressure using the massive hitbox of the sword he just pulled off his shoulder. Landing perfectly in the foggy puddle with zero lag, the veteran complements the solid stats of his enemy's armor. Zhang Yan matches the energy and throws back a class pun, hyping up the lightweight lethal gear of the assassin main. The two break the clash with a massive backstep, resetting their neutral game on the unstable, muddy terrain of the green jungle. Getting into his martial arts stance, Lu Yuan demands to fight the legendary student's full, unnerved power head-on. The big-brain kid reads the blind ego on the guy's face, realizing he's still coping hard over dropping a rank in the official point ladder. To make the 1v1 actually worth his time, he suggests a classic wager where the loser drops their weapons as a symbol of the L and the ultimate trophy. Instantly agreeing, the rich kid pops his Master S-tier agility buff, disrespectfully multiplying all his movement speeds. Hyped by the accept screen, Zhang Yan locks in the deal, completely sure he's about to farm another heavy weapon to sell on the black market. Wrapped in the purple smoke of his spell, the millionaire's afterimage breaks, claiming he was literally born with the speed to permanently outplay any turtle-paced class below his tier. While their swords spark together, the arrogant kid trash talks, arguing that whoever gets the first frame advantage deletes the chances of anyone who doesn't even know how to dodge. Stuffing the wild rush with clean parries, the young student admits the pay-to-win resources of the rich family really prove how busted the stats are on those system-born S-tier prodigies. Spectating from behind the thick wooden cover, the beaten-up guard dog enthusiastically cheers for the young boss he worships to finally delete the arrogant kid. Massively buffing his accuracy on the metal edges, Lu Yuan spouts his usual toxic logic, highlighting the inferior hero's physical debuffs and claiming he'll die from stamina drain or just low IQ class plays. Concentrating every drop of magic into his fast muscles, the antagonist winds up a brutal kick, calling a definitive game over. The destructive impact chops the logs into splinters, pushing the debris into circles around the deep, sandy puddles in the chaotic battle arena. Just before his blind, high-speed explosion causes a total smoke screen around the dead tree roots, he centers his lethal axis to end the fight. A heavy leg block completely stuffs the attack midair, while Zhang Yan flat-out says he finally downloaded the repetitive, pure-speed spam the guy kept relying on. Throwing a raw, charged punch right at the fighter's extended hand, he reflects all the stored brutal energy right back, announcing he just cleared this amateur tutorial fight. Panic jumping into the dark to dodge the damage and quickly heal his bruised ego in the puddles, Lu Yuan admits with a bloody throat that the trap set by the hidden genius never allowed for a clean chase in the wind trails. Trolling subtly with a stiff smirk and swallowing the sharp pain from the chip damage, the rich kid finally realizes the joke of trying to stat-check a player of that insane caliber using unlimited cash shop weapons. Arguing that dropping gear to retreat isn't a shameful L, he claims a genius who sacrifices key items to open a breach isn't dumb. If the weak class tanks a hit to secure a trade, he'd also shoot his unbuffed shots just to survive the worst-case jungle scenario. Camping on a high dead branch to flex his ego while he yaps, the rich kid sings praises from above, honoring the guts it took to sacrifice gear to find the exact opening needed to land heavy punches and avoid a fatal drop into the swamp. Keeping his avatar looking clean, the worst-class hero humbles the ego and returns the GG, validating the extreme real-world value of close combat mechanics, where the rich kid maneuvers clean enough to avoid getting one-shot by a single misplay. Dripping with pure toxic behavior, the rival trolls, asking what kind of galaxy brain magic trick the broke kid is gonna pull now that his defense is ruined and his hands are totally empty. Pulling hidden blades from his premium cash shop coat sleeves, he spawns magic throwing knives, bragging that he hoards them in his inventory box because he's obsessed with that lightweight playstyle and refuses to get caught lacking out in the wild. Processing the arrogant garbage coming from above, he confirms from his past run that losing million-dollar heavy swords in random skirmishes was literally just pocket change for the Lu family's playground budget. In an instant, he completely breaks the game's spatial rules without warning, pulling a monstrous glowing blue blade from the ground, declaring the absolute sweet satisfaction of forcing spoiled rich kids to bow down and watch their stats hit absolute zero in a real no-cry jungle. Unlocking the dark seals of his mortal aura, Lu Yuan speaks in a rage-filled tone, clearly stating that the boy is incredibly lucky to witness his ultimate wind-breaking attack, a secret move he hides to secure heavy ranks at the academy later. The opponent vomits his ego, saying his massive secret strategy was strictly designed to completely crush the server's top martial champion, the legendary S-tier senior, and now he's burning the cooldown to wipe a strong student's class stats to zero using a massive spinning wind cross-slash in that toxic swamp. With a tearing cross-slash, he launches a massive destructive energy wave straight at the kid's chest and stomach, locking in his fate with an explosion right in the mud, aiming to shamelessly crush anyone standing in his gang's territory. The furious energy destroys chunks of the floor, dragging rocks sideways and slicing the foliage off the tree trunk from top to bottom, blowing the air far away from the impact zone. Dodging the sharp debris, he consciously agrees that having pay-to-win heritage talents gives an insane early-game advantage in a hardcore 1v1. He nods, admitting the pressure is completely unreal, and that the guy actually lives up to his top-tier ranking without any cap. However, the genius's brain runs the numbers, calculating that throwing weapons from miles away drains stamina heavily, with zero guaranteed return at close range. Sinking into the grass, he decides to pop stealth to force critical openings, knowing he can't spam his real talent here because he lies flawlessly to keep his op status hidden while he grinds the streets in his dark, low-key current playthrough. Sticking the landing with his black combat boots in the fog, he scans the area, hunting through the smoke screens. Looking into the empty night like an owl, the cocky kid admits to the silent leaves that doing a flashy tactical retreat is a classic scrub move for cowards who won't take a clean duel, typical of the rich elites always trying to cheese a win. Charging up air pressure over raw silver and steel, he roars that stealth timers eventually hit zero, and hiding like a kid will inevitably lead to a tragic wipeout anyway. Throwing massive, sweeping wind arcs in every direction without aiming, he mockingly asks what the endgame is for a top-ranked player backing into a corner, especially if he gets pinned without the jungle to hide his face. The rock cracks, exploding in purple shrapnel, instantly clearing the lifeless perimeter with a single blast of energy. Frozen mid-stance in the rubble and blades, he squints, hunting the destroyed courtyard for the bloody remains of the genius, totally assuming he should be splattered across the dirt from the massive, uncapped AoE damage he just dropped. Shook to find only flat grass, the rich kid snaps his camera left and right, unable to believe how right at the game over screen, the fancy roach just vanished into thin air like gas escaping the burnt leaves. Sniffing out low attacks in the dark, the young guy violently turns around, getting a massive jump scare, feeling heat on his shoulders, realizing an unreactable drop attack is landing inches away before he can even prep a block. Running purely on fighting game reptile brain, he cues up his punches at the shadow, fueled by his usual toxicity, declaring the training wheels are finally off to dig up where the cowards hide, ready to brawl blind in the high-stakes game of the world's fake geniuses. But the hollow thud echoes, slicing cleanly through old wood in the foul, foggy air of the dead beast swamp, where sulfur smoke chokes the endless lost soul slivs tossed into a point-of-no-return pit for absolutely zero reason. Swallowing his totally senseless panic at seeing chopped logs with his knife stuck in them, the rich fighter grits his teeth, unable to believe the absolute embarrassment of ulting an old fake wooden decoy. Capitalizing on the total lack of ground control, the strong kid drops from the sky, declaring peace to forcefully end the beatdown with a clear yes, laughing at the chest that shook the foundations of cheap arrogance, screaming praises for his own F-rank in the silence of the hidden, rotten rift left to suffer far from the central mother city where the king always shines. Deep down, the killer accepts that his rival shapes and exploits the thick jungle with absolute tactical genius, dreaming of how broken his level would be if he actually had the elite star badge taking him to the very top of those tier lists. Fuming with steam and rage, the opponent exhales his magic and headbutts him, dropping the classic villain line that trash never climbs the big rocks that support the elite ranks, fighting a planetary war for power and status dictated by the current meta league. Toggling his passive shields that cover his charged punches with spiral wind blades reacting to the heavy sword, he stands his ground and swears through his teeth he won't bow out without a sweaty, bloody fight. Feeling heavy lag spikes in his muscles, the kid realizes he's totally burnt out, swallowing the fact that leveling up from 20 still takes a toll. Yet he keeps his ace in his pocket, refusing to burn his unactivated secondary tech. Blowing his entire mana bar to drop a barrage of knives, the cocky kid screams and swears this isn't just a casual tutorial spar. It's a legit war to wound a king with his bare hands, desperately trying not to cry over his shattered pride after getting humiliated and backed into a corner. A radiant purple energy explodes from the knife, waiting at max charge to be unleashed with blind fury on whatever body tries to backstab him in the fog, aiming for an honorable finish. Unleashing brutal, wild pivot kicks that blindly launch the sniper, he roars that no Earth shield can tank the massive shotgun spread of shrapnel he's dropping. And the hit lands hard, scattering in every direction, cracking the dust in the air and sending the blind charger flying into the hard dirt. Kicked far away and dragging his boots in the green slime, the main prodigy digs his nails into the cracks of his own heavy inventory weapon, holding on so the weight doesn't spin him out of control into the bushes. Watching from the edge of his screen, Lu Yuan silently analyzes the trades, trying to figure out if jumping through the flames or the wild knives will just cause a stupid, meaningless death in a toxic jungle full of blind, poisonous beasts. Reviewing the VOD in his chill mind, the hero remembers that the rich kid wasn't actually hollow or evil, recalling from his long-past life that this cocky guy eventually marched the front lines to stall the devil at the borders, holding back the human wipeout with bare hands without seeking any glory. Panting without a break, the genius plots to set a hard bait, waiting for the rich kid to close the gap so he can blast a max speed wind combo right in his face without warning. Totally out of stamina, he stays standing, stubborn as ever, fully committing to taking the opponent to the edge, completely crushing his pride to teach him a hardcore lesson about never underestimating a clean, relentless 1v1 where the loser gets stuck in the mud. From a distance, Lu Yuan, practically blacking out from stamina drain, sits there shook about how he, rocking the most hyped rank, just got effortlessly styled on by a guy ranked at the absolute bottom of the game's magic system. Keeping it 100 with himself, he agrees the combo pressure he just tanked was absolutely insane, even while he never takes his eyes off the endgame where his top-tier stats guarantee absolute glory, staying far away from falling into the toxic green mud of the permanently locked dead zones. He watches the quiet, slow shadow step through the thick slime of that abyss, covered by the wet green webs in the deep, dark virgin forest of that toxic server. Digging his pale fingers into the blunt weapons he has left with pure force, Lu Yuan adjusts his stance to face tank the fatal, dirty hit from the heavy knife hidden in the silent, blind void. In the middle of all the chaos, a smooth, non-lethal wave comes in, flashing friendly honor signals that completely break the game's rules of war, initiated by the kid who always stays standing. Mind blown by the olive branch the guy drops with total peace, he enters a massive brain freeze, realizing the quiet genius just pulled off a flawless pacifist run out of nowhere, showing pure, unfiltered honor after hours of sweaty, pointless grinding so they wouldn't just wipe for no reason. Standing in the brush looking completely chill, like he just drank some tea, he calmly yells to the noble rich kid that they're wiping the score to 0, calling it a tie between two strong, honorable, and top-tier heroes in this sweaty, mystical jungle. Suspicious while laying in the ditch with his shins in the dirt, he yells into the wind, asking what kind of crazy nonsense those casual chat messages are after hours of sweaty combat in the blind, toxic jungle. The hidden master drops the raw facts, proving the absolute purity of the vibe by declaring that they were indeed equals, unbreakable mirrors, ending the match at a flat 0 in the late afternoon with zero fear. Reading the legit truth in the guy's eyes, the noble fighter understands the pure, filterless bridge being built, proudly accepting the raw power and the new bromance they just forged. Returning the respect of dropping his blind ego, he speaks up, saying that on the highest ceiling of those rocks, the best seats belong to the fastest gods on the jungle track, constantly floating above the leaderboards of the endless old-school academies. Dropping his petty pride without hesitation, he offers a steady silver handshake, locking in a pure alliance between rival top-tier boys for the future of the entire server. Standing tall on his feet with the pull of the other guy's hand, Lu Yuan yells that the official century-old master arena back at the sacred gates will give them the stage to clash iron and blood fairly, settling the score and quenching their thirst for a legit PvP match. Dropping a light chuckle at the loud gossip, Jiang Yan passes the ball back, warning that hardcore raids would definitely require them to burn a lot of boot rubber to escape without throwing their run by making a dumb mistake in the suffocating blind spots of the unranked abyss. In the distant background audio, the choked-out voices of the beaten rogue scream blind curses, crying that he'll make the guy pay top dollar for dropping the beloved boss's clean knives, super salty about the L on an unlucky day for the rich guild owners. With that same ruthless energy, the rich boss drops heavy insults on his trash squad, ordering the submissive scrub to drop the weak tone and respect the royal posture that demands equal-to-equal honor, as he usually does in the blind glory of their shallow flaws. Watching the kids safely extract, he vows in the bitter sweat that hell bring the ultimate key from his absolute top-tier clan to secure the crown and crush everything in his path. Without the other guy seeing, Jiang Yan casually walks away with his hands in his pockets, moving smoothly through the fog in the calm, damp, lonely corners of the green and dead paths of the frog's dark lair. Entering a chill headspace, he wonders if his stats had hit the cap, thinking about how epic it would be if his dark abilities dropped real, raw power on the server and forced a total wipe. Fully confident in his own hidden magic tricks, he knows that rivals drop in a microsecond when he pops spells with zero cast time, retreating into a cloud of dust while the enemy easily crumbles from his master touch. Tearing his hair out in endless exhaustion, the bitter hero of the painful nights cries over the lost floor loot, realizing that burning a massive mana bar in a long fight without a premium storage ring wasn't a big brain play to stack gold on the black market later that night. In a peaceful moment where he refused to cry, the boy puts his heavy weapon back in his inventory with zero grudges, feeling the sting and accepting that dry pain is just part of the game when you get 0 drops from the loot box. In a sudden blink, his instincts ping as he notices weird smoke rising into the green canopy, hiding behind the sharp corners of the dead trees deep within the dark walls. Catching the brutal trail of that furious cross-slash from the cocky elite, the student is shocked to see that the blind, reckless kick actually broke through thick walls, unlocking secrets hidden for decades from hunters in the lost magic lands. Decoding the rotten smells at the chemical base of the poison flowers, he decides to explore the pits, hunting for god-tier boss drops and RNG treasure chests on his walk. In a rush, he clicks a magic flash that locks his HP bar, putting up hard shields with a strict 20-second timer against the dirty sulfur cuts from the hidden dead zones. Stacked with new buffs, his mind fills with hype because buying those from the government pharmacy would blow a massive hole in their funds, saving them from the deadly pits hidden in the dark spider webs. Pushed forward by the weird, traceless smoke, he walks blindly, uncovering secrets hidden in the dust far away from the lights of the night swamp. Stopped by green smoke spirals, the giant water pit proves that pure poison is bubbling up from the thick mud deep inside the forest's core. Staring at the dark mirror, the kid becomes a fan of crazy myths, finding long-tailed creatures sleeping in the magic and mysteries of winged snakes, stuff you only hear about in rare lore rumors. Jumping deep into the poison pools to snoop around for the truth, the boy is jump-scared to find goofy frogs chilling in the water, floating harmlessly while waiting for the ultimate chance to farm extreme wealth. Suddenly and incredibly fast, fat, dark shadows swim through the toxic water straight at him, breaking the straight line to snap their lethal jaws. The screen flashes red, rendering heavy lizards with blue rock armor and snouts, flexing brutal level 18 stats. Pulling a smooth dodge from the aggro jaws, the genius drops a money-making smile. He found premium mobs in the deep water and trolls the fish, saying raw neck meat isn't on his menu. Staying low in the giant's blind spot, the genius pivots fast, splashing water while spamming combos with his heavy blade, triggering furious counterattacks in the bubbling, toxic mud currents. Throwing an axe kick and a spin into the water, he drops high-tier comedy on the loot boxes, laughing that he's bagging the bonus drops locked behind the legendary lore of cold-blooded beasts with scaled tails. Igniting his armor-piercing magic on his heavy slicing sword, the brutal hit chops hard, shattering the glass-like armor on the back of the fat swimming reptile spawned by the dead winds. Staring at the floating dead carcass, the kid pouts, silently crying for his ring's storage slots because a river boss the size of a train isn't gonna fit in his girlfriend's tiny premium bag. Standing firm, he quickly turns and theorizes that the open wound is the perfect port to manually trigger his magic autoloot right on the dead boss's back, using his Supreme Farmer class to instantly dismantle the massive drop on the clean rocks. Pressing invisible UI buttons, the clean mechanic instantly rips entire pieces off the hunted beast, slicing it perfectly on the smooth grass. Purple pixel shards in the game's code swirl around the blocks, wirelessly separating the meat from the bones, making pieces fly and coins drop from the magic that perfectly breaks it down on the rock, right in front of the sweaty, hyped eyes of the top-class kids smiling at the green sky. Glowing purple streams flow from the source, lighting up the cold swamps and effortlessly stacking the loot on the flat tables near his feet, making him slow clap for the absolute fake news spread by his haters about the trash-tier kid beating an S-rank boss without combat magic, exposing the corrupt, fragile egos of the elite masters. The magic UI dumps the massive loot log, showing C-tier bags of rare ribs and exotic blue vein meat from the snow boss, meant for heavy ice armor crafting. Heart beating at 100 BPM from the massive haul, he throws the fat loot into his ring's secret vault, celebrating huge profits on a chill day in the deadly Green Valley. Aiming at the holes in the dark edges, he spots weird sparks leaking from cracked rocks in the deep where life usually drowns. Swimming low, the boy drops into the white flames of the thin mud, confirming he glitched through the alleys and stepped right on the main spawn generator of the hidden fog. Stuck in the dry tunnel, he goes full stealth mode, whispering to himself to keep his eyes peeled in the pitch black that hides lethal traps where not even B-class pawns dare to raid. The view inside the hollow mountain renders massive rocks covered in mystical lights, dripping glowing power that's been AFK for years under the surface. Scanning the residue that mutates the rock with deadly poison smells, the boy swallows hard, suspecting he just scratched a winning lottery ticket with zero competition for the rookie leaderboard, securing infinite profit hidden from everyone else. Leaning on the thick slabs, the genius scans the core, focusing on the dim light hidden in the fog mine's sharp rocks, sitting in the deep shadows of the toxic green pit, a classic no-escape dungeon for low-tier fighters. Camouflaged behind the sharp dark crystal ores, his jaw drops in pure shock at the insanely colorful filterless wonders glued to his fingertips in the giant, beautiful magic nest. The game pings the gender and colossal class. A female toxic flying dragon sitting at a busted level 40.3, just chilling by her horn on the nest's floor. Losing his mind with hype at spotting this ultra-rare beast, he realizes the legend is playing out in a baby body, declaring he'll secure the eggs for massive real-world profit. Fascinated and praising the lore, he calculates flawlessly that a parent of this beast would easily hit the level 70 cap, chilling with the server's top Slayer masters in the real endgame dungeons. Focused on the two glowing embryos on the branches, he does the math on his modding talent's limits, realizing he can inject high-tier traits into crossbred beasts, breaking the level caps of these manual-listed bosses. Sitting in dead silence in his camping spot, he calmly calculates the risk of playing a pacifist waiting game, plotting the perfect frame to strike and secure the massive bag, avenging all the low-tier victims crushed by cowardly ganks. But sudden, brutal jump scares smash the thick slabs, shaking the cave ceiling and completely ruining the kid's peaceful strat to easily harvest the babies without a sweaty boss fight. With goosebumps from the massive noise hitting his neck, he looks up, trying to spot what's causing the screen shake and trashing his chill vibe, bringing deep fear to the brave rookie cornered in the blind, massive dark cave far away from the safe zones. From the ceiling hole, a male carcass with a green horn drops out of nowhere, smashing the rocks and cracking the dark clearing with a massive impact, breaking the light fixtures in the frog and gator nest. Watching the guard dog from the dark abyss, the rookie confirms his theories that beasts guard these spawn points, hiding their gold in the dark mud. Hearing the landing roars nearby, the beast shows its health bar and he realizes the exit is completely blocked. He decides to drop his ego and retreat, knowing his combat magic isn't high enough to solo giant bosses without getting wiped. Dive bombing into the toxic green escape ocean, the kid pulls up his mental map, finding the exact route to secure his future goals, plotting his path after seeing the brutal reality of the chaotic dark servers. Safely washed up on the solid edges, his ambition flares up. He vows to break the training scales and become an absolute monster, fully intending to raid the Queen Beast's treasure vault later. Pushing his chest out on the branches outside the caves, he makes a silent, hardcore pact to snatch the #1 genius crown, dominating the leaderboards of that central city from zero to hero, escaping his tragic early-game origins to save humanity from the brutal beast hordes. Gliding smoothly and fast with magic buffs through the dark alley outside the poison zones, he sets his GPS for the sketchy crates of the underground black market, planning to flip meat into gold at the elite vendor stalls tax-free to pay off his crying sister's massive loan shark debts, while everyone else stays blind to his godly, accidental crafting talent. The massive, corrupt layout of that shady underground street pops up, staring right into the wide eyes of the broke kid who is silently winning the war on the dangerous, gang-run asphalt of Nanrong. Walking past the crowded stalls in the street draft, he recalls old server rumors whispering the name of a supreme high-rank boss who rules the dirty market stalls with an iron fist, forcing peace in the zone. Looking around the corners, he realizes the official server mods leave these gang hubs alone, as long as the massive gang wars and stealth knife kills stay hidden in the shadows, far from the central city. Blaming the massive loopholes in the system, the hero deduces that uncapped rift access allows for insane million-dollar trades and perfectly covers up dirty robberies on the gray market, letting shady players run wild with purple gems in their pockets and lunch money to spare. Leaning quickly out of the brush, he stops at the luxurious, clean glass and gold pillars of the Jinyu Pavilion, enjoying the fresh air and white stones in the middle of the dirty market area. Searching his brain's hard drive, he recalls the elegant face of the rich boss Chinyu, known for her cold, honest, and flawless reputation in the black market, laundering rare coins for gangs while staying completely off the grid. In the chaotic daily grind, criminal NPCs spam the counters, whining about the terrible drop rates and the brutal exhaustion from sweaty raids, all while the chic boss lady smokes her premium cigarettes in her perfumed, gold-plated shop. Blowing smoke like a true elite, the shop owner elegantly tells the sweaty grunts that her flat-rate offer is the best RNG they'll get on the street, telling the weak thugs to go beg somewhere else while her guards clear the trash out of her lobby. Nearby, a toxic thug drags his eyes to the counter and laughs his guts out at the MC's low-budget basic school uniform, assuming the broke kid is just trying to pawn off trash loot to the rich lady. The thug's duo partner spits more toxic waste, roasting the kid's stitched-up clothes, swearing a powerless scrub couldn't possibly carry anything worth a single copper coin. Triggered into a dirty rage, the street boss orders the rookie to back off and clear the lobby instantly, not wanting his weak avatar to lag their massive black market trades. Twirling the metal ring on his finger, the star player drops a sarcastic, painful comeback, swearing his empty hands definitely aren't carrying a heavy load of trash loot like they claim. The pair of goons bug out in pure panic, their dry eyes finally realizing the broke-effing school kid is secretly rocking a colossal, premium dimensional ring loaded with treasures. With a smooth, calm hand motion over the table, the hero activates his inventory, proving his sweaty loot run only brought the absolute trash drops he farmed from dead winged beasts, dumping them right on the rich lady's polished desk. The massive, dark pile of monster parts erupts like a volcano, raining rare skins and bloody hooves onto the shiny floor with a soft thud, showcasing the insane bonus drops. Staring at the colossal mountain of premium loot, the thugs freeze with their jaws on the floor, totally shook and drooling over the epic drops farmed by the broke kid. Up at the premium bank counter, the elegant shop boss is stunned by the glow, feeling a chill at the sight of the snow gator boss drops, wondering how a kid in a basic uniform solo farmed the lethal poison swamp. Unfazed by the shock, the smooth kid focuses his free hand and announces he's pulling his secret vault drop, confirming he's adding one more premium piece to the pile. The brilliant flash of divine purple light reveals the raw magic crystal, completely terrifying the two thieves who realize the insane level gap between them and the beast that dropped it. Staring daggers at the rookie, the merchant master gets highly suspicious, wondering if his fake class stats hide a brutal god-tier origin, masking his true power from the jealous haters. Breaking the ice with a polite, cold tone, the polished student calls the lady and requests a fast price check, calculating the total payout for the sliced beast loot. Suffocating in dry embarrassment, the angry thugs suddenly go quiet, awkwardly looking away and signaling they should definitely step back and let the millionaire stealth genius handle his business. Chilling on the plush VIP sofa, Chinyu finishes her math, listing the massive values and announcing a terrifyingly huge payout, 238,500 credits total for the hero's epic boss loot. Sliding a premium black card across the polished table, the trade master seals the deal, guaranteeing the credits are loaded and locking in the massive payout for the winged frog boss. Grabbing the rare plastic, the top-tier kid gets hyped, praising the boss's blinding speed and honest strats, securing his bag with zero stress. A soft handshake officially stamps the silent, invisible partnership between the two. The high-class diva points out a loophole, guaranteeing that the premium gold card comes with a flat 10% bonus on any future purple or fine gem trades at her shop. Getting up from the VIP sofa, the hero drops a quick, polite thank you, fully appreciating the fair play from the chill black market boss. Walking aimlessly toward the exit, his cold logic runs the numbers, realizing exactly why Chinyu offered that sweet deal to keep him at her tables. It wasn't just for small-time clout. He realizes the VIP perk proved she flawlessly scanned his massive, hidden potential. The spectacular kid exits the shop, walking slowly down the neon-lit alleys of the dirty urban zones. From the cold, hidden dark corners, the shady duo stalks him, tracking his footprints and studying his blind spots while he casually strolls through the fog. Thinking about his massive bankroll, the rookie realizes that gigachads with busted talents will always get VIP treatment in the safe zones, fully respected by the government, factions, and old clans in the mystical hub of Nanrong. His brain processes the raw reality. To keep the gold flowing, he has to grind the leaderboards, hitting rank 1 to farm sponsorships and unlimited prize pools from the local government. Cornered in the dark alleys, the two thieves sharpen their axes, ready to jump the cocky noob who was just flexing millions in loot, planning a dirty, cowardly gank to steal his bag. The lone kid slowly drags the goons to a remote, broken-down, trash-filled alley, far away from the market lights. Looking at his own inventory, the heir realizes that relying only on his dual swords is a massive throw. He needs to use his gold to buy a heavy, bulletproof chest shield to tank the wolf boss in the green zone. Scanning the dark area, the star player silently picks up the tracker pings, knowing the trash mobs have been tailing him perfectly, falling right into his big brain trap. With a cold, calculated glare, the master of the leaderboards checks his goals, confirming he's on the exact path he mapped out to secure his flawless victory over his rival masters. Deep in his memory files, he remembers the rotten smell of blood on those specific thugs, confirming their bags are full of dirty, stolen loot from players they cowardly ganked in the dark. Keeping a chill pace toward his own trap, the kid decides that deleting these bandits is a solid side quest to clean up the server. Spawning in behind him, the criminals troll him, saying the student picked the perfect empty lobby for his own game over screen. The duo totally body blocks the dark alley exit with sharp weapons drawn. Glancing over his shoulder with zero urgency, Jiang Yan mocks their lag, saying he's been camping here waiting for them. The UI reveals the thugs are level 16 and 17, rocking the Lethal Butcher and Poison Master classes. Faking a panic attack, the student trolls them, saying he's absolutely terrified of facing combat classes. Tilted by the disrespect, the leader screams that a bottom-tier trash player has zero right to mock them. Confirming the troll with total chill, the prodigy replies that he is, in fact, mocking them to their faces. Blinded by rage, the poison master pop his fast/dash to completely shred the noob. The criminal casts his toxic coating buff, wrapping his blade in lethal poison. Raising his hand at the aggro player, the kid pops his modding cheat, noting it's his first time using it on humans in this playthrough. The system instantly edits the enemy attack into a self-sabotage move, forcing the criminal to spam violent slashes on his own hitbox. Totally glitched out, the bandit chops his own HP bar, screaming that his controller is disconnected. Watching the bizarre glitch, the other thief panics and yells for his duo, completely lost on what's happening. Next, the MC's magic mod flips the toxic coating into a consumption spell, making the lethal poison instantly melt the attacker's internal organs. The criminal faceplints on the concrete, spitting damage, agonizing over how he just team-killed himself. Seeing such a fast and terrifying wipe, the second bandit 180s and panic sprints to save his own run. Wrapped in a dark aura, Jiang Yan coldly announces it's his turn to combo. Gripping his glowing sword, the kid pushes forward, refusing to let anyone disconnect. A single pixel-perfect slash flies down the alley, clipping the runner before he can get far. Dropping next to their bodies, wanted posters confirm the duo were high-bounty targets hunted by the server admins. Looting the papers, the student is shook that these idiots actually carried their own bounty posters in their inventories. Stashing the docs, he decides not to turn in the quest for the official bounty, avoiding unnecessary aggro on his cheat skills. Rummaging through their drops, the young player hypes up finding a heavy leather coat he can equip as armor. The UI flashes the stats for the level 10 wolfskin coat, a mid-tier drop with a slight poison resist buff. Holding the common drop, the prodigy says swapping one word will patch this trash into an absolute god-tier relic. The system runs the fusion command, dropping the glorious Killin skin coat, a legendary armor that gives full immunity to basic poisons and massive defense stats for his next raids. Abusing his hidden passive, the hero patches the magic code of that basic coat he just looted. He equips the new skin like a boss and notes that modding mythical gear always drops insane stat buffs. Checking the stitching on the back, he figures the armor is top tier, even if it doesn't give literal god mode. Hyped with the W, he decides to fast travel home and surprise his sister, remembering the exams are launching soon. Stepping firmly onto the street, the kid promises himself this is his run to completely shock the server. Back at base, the girl is hard camping her study desk, totally oblivious to his sudden respawn. Busting in with a full inventory, he asks the teen for a hand, leaving her confused by all the premium loot. Handing over the bags, she curiously asks how he farmed so much premium gear overnight. Holding the fancy box, she admires his new skin and notes it looks like a heavy-duty shield. Chilling on the couch, the kid flexes he earned it with pure mechanics and promises to buff her allowance. Shyly, the sister waves off the gold, saying a 50-coin drop is plenty for her dailies. Instantly rejecting that, he hands her a fat stack and declares her new passive income is 500 coins. Staring at the cash, the teen freezes, assuming her brother must have triggered a crime event. He grabs her shoulders, telling her to delete those toxic thoughts, and reminds her about the school event tomorrow. Pointing at his chest, he swears his level is way over the cap and promises to treat her to a premium dinner afterward. Curious about his insane confidence, the girl asks exactly what his current stat line is. Adjusting his collar, he admits he already broke the level 20 cap, leaving her totally stunned by the massive number. The MC keeps a straight face, knowing exactly how broken that speedrun is for 0 XP noob. Normally, the average player grinds for 30 days of pure suffering just to hit the level 15 soft cap. Meanwhile, hitting 20 is basically the playground for whales with unlimited cash shop access. Staring at his hands, the hero admits his glitched leveling speed only happened because he leached the demon clone's XP. Frowning, he confirms the grind would be absolute torture without premium drops and VIP buffs. Standing on the roof looking at the neon city, he swears the meta is gonna flip upside down when he snags the gold in the tournament. He parkours across the rooftops with his cape flying, laser-focused on wiping the lobby at the Elite Academy admissions. By morning, a massive banner covers the school stadium, announcing the official launch of the annual exams. A colossal lobby of seniors crowds the field, closing out a 10-year grind. On stage, Principal Aoyang Lai hypes the crowd, reminding them this is their golden ticket to upgrade their playthroughs. From the bleachers, Jiang Yan listens, agreeing that these tests basically hardlock the Awakens' futures. Tryhards with S-tier scores and mechanics get drafted into elite schools focused on hardcore raids. Players with solid scores, but below the elite cutoff get shipped to the military barracks to become captains. Mid-tier players go to standard schools, which usually just spit them out as basic gate guards. Finally, anyone who throws the exam gets demoted back to a basic civilian NPC, losing their magic pass forever. Deep down, the student knows only 20% of the server escapes that boring, low-tier ending. That's the dark reality of their strict society, ever since the monster hordes tried to wipe the server. Watching the exams, the kid realizes having low stats gets you banned to the streets instantly. Wrapping up, the leader announces that players above level 15 get to skip the boring qualifier brackets. The crowd loses its mind, while the mod team preps their tablets for the basic stat checks. Some students whisper in terror, thinking it's literally impossible to hit level 15 in 30 business days. Breathing easy, Jiang Yan realizes he gets to skip the scrub matches since his stats are miles past the requirement. Holding the spreadsheets, the class mod announces that exactly 5 players broke the level 15 cap. Reading the tags, the teacher pauses and notes that only 4 will get the auto pass to skip the arena. Glaring at the low-rank student, he admits the kid technically beat the digital stat check. But the boomer teacher adjusts his glasses, stating the kid is forced to compete anyway because he holds the useless, cursed crafter rank. The lobby bursts into laughter, trolling the hero who just got publicly nerfed in front of the whole server. Turning away, the teacher toxically thinks this public L is exactly the reality check trash ranks need. Playing the good guy, the instructor taps the student, claiming the patch notes came directly from the admin board. Without breaking a sweat, the student accepts the call and confirms he'll queue up for the qualifiers. The teacher thinks his chill vibe is super weird, assuming the whole lobby will focus fire to delete the weak noob. In the center of the plaza, the head ref blows the whistle, signaling the brutal start to the battle royale. The rules drop 10 players below level 15 into a blind free-for-all, where only the last one standing wins. With a heavy slam, a girl throws a dude into the ropes, securing the first W of the sunny afternoon. Watching from the VIP box, the vice admin comments on how impossible it is for kids to hit the level cap in a month. Next to him, director Ouyang Lai points out the timeline is weird and asks if his partner remembers the kid Jiang Yan. The vice recalls the book-smart brawler, but trashes the kid's terrible RNG for pulling a useless class at the altar. Staring him down, the leader asks if his partner actually understands the heavy lore tied to those old worst classes. The admin argues that back in the day, the lowest bar was rank 5, but the system got patched to permanently nerf combat crafters. For the Vice, the massive stat gap makes the idea of a tinker wiping a squad in the Octagon pure fanfiction. Ouyang Lai disagrees, dropping the lore of the legendary level 70 idol who also started as a low-tier scrub back in the day. Then the PA system calls Group 18 to the gates, getting ready for the final whistle. The hero steps into the mud, ready to flex the bloody grind that carried his daily playthrough. 9 gladiators surround Jiang Yan, forming a human wall to pressure the only crafter in the arena. The kid totally ignores the aggro, thinking about how he shouldn't waste time getting code when he has a premium dinner waiting. One fighter yells to the lobby that the enemy's level is pushing 20, giving them a massive stat gap. The squad readies their weapons, promising to heavily debuff the trash crafter in a real no-cap brawl. Keeping a perfectly straight face, the kid bravely taunts all 9 to jump him at the exact same time right in front of the ref. Drunk on their warrior egos, the weapon-wielding beasts dive in, aiming to drop the target to the concrete. The hate-filled squad vows to prove that crying won't fix the gap between top and bottom tiers in official matches, with judges scoring every fatal hit in the capital's elite academy. From the skybox, the admins watch closely, ready to see if the hidden legends become reality in the hardcore arena in front of the totally silent, shocked crowd. Channeling magic into his legs for a spark-filled jump, the hero laughs, flexing the premium weapon he bought with his hard-earned boss loot. A massive streak of blue silver cuts the air, revealing a glowing, luxurious, heavy-duty weapon. In the VIP seats, the vice admin claps his hands in absolute horror, seeing the noob pull a premium dimensional storage ring, making the casuals drool at the flex. Sweating bullets, the boss calculates the stats, realizing that sword is strictly for veteran blacksmiths from the hidden high-tier black markets. Floating over the floor with glitched-out agility, the clean fighter swings dry blades, creating a windbox that completely wipes all 9 rivals, dropping them on the grass in a single, unreactable frame. The stands go completely silent, jaws dropped, struggling to process how a trash-tier crafter just pulled off godlike movement tech that looked completely hacked. Flexing his massive weapon over the pile of sliced players, Jiang Yan declares a flawless, untouchable victory in round 1. Still on the grass, the losers mutter that they didn't actually take damage, guessing the kid just used an illusion speed exploit. With a toxic smirk, Jiang Yan asks if the losers are really that confident in their copium theory. Right on cue, the blade's delayed hitbox triggers, and the students' uniforms explode into literal rags. Mortified, the boys clutch their shredded clothes, totally unable to process the invisible magic attack. Sweating pure terror, one student realizes that if PvP damage was turned on, they'd all be on the respawn screen right now. Raising the massive blue relic, the champion looks absolutely terrifying to the players on the ground. Completely shook by the massive stat gap, the squad admits they have 0 win conditions left. Without hesitation, all 9 students throw up their hands, hitting the surrender button on the exact same frame. Over the PA, the ref officially crowns the Class 1 prodigy the undeniable winner. With the daily quest speedrun complete, the hero plans to log off, go home, and treat his sister to a massive feast. Beyond the W, he flashes a troll's smile, super satisfied with his big brain strat hidden in plain sight. The warrior figures using the duel was the perfect excuse to publicly equip his premium blade, permanently deleting any sus rumors about his magic loadout. Up in the admin box, the Vice is shook by the noob's power to solo anomaly zones with raw mechanics in the dark jungle. Hard agreeing, Oyanglai states the disciples' innate stats completely gap the forgotten titans of the old server wars. Watching the student walk out to the rustic streets, the veteran thinks the league has never spawned anyone fit for the absolute #1 crown in all of Nanrong. Staring down at the chill prodigy, the boss wonders if the untouchable title will finally go to the humiliated low-rank freshman. On another stage, a cadet lands a stunning critical hit, securing his ticket into the top 68 for the afternoon bracket. With the qualifier timer hitting 0, the brutal filter barely passes 60-something players into the actual hardcore bracket. The winning squad gets quick pings from the mods and rushes to pop heals on their way to the cafeteria hub. Resting his legs in the chill cafeteria, the genius does the quick math. Over 700 players queued up for the safe zone qualifiers. Adding up the brackets and realizing he skipped the hard arena grind because his stats hit the 20 cap, the hero calculates that 500 players are marching to clash heavy weapons in the brutal finals, risking real game overs for premium drops inside Nanrong's Magic Dome. Scoping out the 19 rival schools in the official server, he realizes he's gonna crash into a massive lobby of thousands of sweaty players in these chaotic, high-stakes exams. Without blinking, he keeps a straight face, analyzing the massive, bizarre scale of the upcoming endgame. Securing the solo #1 spot against an endless army of S-tier tryhards definitely isn't a casual walk in the park. Suddenly, the giant Aoyang jump scares him, dropping into the chair across from his table for a serious, chill chat with the low-rank student during his sweaty lunch break. Shocked by the top-tier VIP pulling up to his table, the kid tries to figure out why the admin logged into the trash-tier cafeteria. The legend mentions he handed out trophies to the Sweaty Academy champs 3 seasons ago, taking a chill break from the hardcore rifts to hang out with the NPCs. With total respect, the star explains that freezing up is standard when you're face-to-face with one of the 12 legendary beasts guarding the city walls. Laughing hard and finding it hilarious, the leader praises the kid's maxed-out speech stat, smoothly navigating the conversation about the secret guild meetings and old Nanrong lore. But his tone gets serious, stating he'd throw a massive party if the kid brought the city's gold ranks back to the academy, crushing the exams. The legend kid listens closely, feeling the heavy pressure of the massive quest the top master just dropped on his playthrough. He brings up the logic that the brackets are full of elite S-tier magic geniuses, calling out the leader's massive gamble on a trash class. Chuckling, the beast counters that UI tags and labels don't win fights, admitting he himself mains a C-tier class without any legendary buffs. Dropping a hardcore morality lesson, the senior explains that true golden magic comes from raw, blind courage like a sniper facing down a lethal boss in the dark without a safety net. Honored and fascinated by the masterclass, the rookie wakes up, realizing the master is a totally different breed from the snobby pay-to-win elites running the system. With Titan-level resolve in his gut, the hero gets hyped, confirming the alliance with a hardcore oath to secure the city's top rank. Smiling big, the beast jumps up and seals the deal, locking in a permanent, filterless pact between 2 men right there at the table. With 0 lag, the kid fist bumps the master, locking in an eternal contract to bring home the gold for the old schools. Through the windows, the student mobs watch the whole cinematic completely confused, totally failing to grasp the hyped vibe between the stadium bosses and the arena hero, who just 1v9D with a giant sword. Logging off into the night, the warrior hits the concrete, planning to celebrate his epic W by treating his sister to a premium steak dinner, finally enjoying some high-tier loot with his easily farmed coins. Standing in the high-end mall, the girl is totally mesmerized, pointing out that luxury zones like this are totally new unlocks for their playthrough. The duo walks together through the bright lobby, checking out the premium cash shop items on display. Clutching the budget money, the little sister gets anxious, begging to fast travel back to the ghetto, scared of draining their funds in this fake gold plaza. Guiding her gently, he shuts down her panic, stating their destiny map brought them straight to this high-tier zone. The Empire's entrance glows with luxury, boasting the absolute best barbecue steaks reserved for the city's elite. Looking at the signs, the short girl drops a warning about the insane prices, claiming the server is permanently locked for broke players like them. Pulling up his glowing smartphone UI, he calms her down by showing he pre-booked the reservation ages ago, dragging his sister through the doors into the premium meat zone. They push through the golden doors into the king's dining lobby. Trying to keep the peace, the girl hits mute on her mic, stopping her complaints about the massive tax on the Wolf Boss coins, quietly accepting the luxury. In his head, he plots to put hard caps on her spending for the next month to balance out this massive splurge right before the hardcore exams. At the fancy table, the waitress glides over, politely dropping the menus filled with premium meat combos. Going full tryhard, the hungry champ instantly locks in the most expensive, top-tier barbecue relics on the menu without hesitating. The waitress freezes, her spine shaking as she looks at the broke-looking kids ordering the absolute most expensive whale-tier food in the shop. Panicking, the poor NPC stutters, confirming if they really want to drop over 1,000 silver on a single crazy dinner. Sipping his water, the hero confirms with total confidence, telling her to keep the tab open for extra orders if his massive stamina bar demands more food. Sweating pure terror, she thinks about the server's ban policies, assuming the genius must have used illegal exploits to farm that much gold in one day. Suddenly, hysterical screaming echoes from the lobby, creating a massive scene demanding a table despite the VIP reservation rules. A level 7 troglodyte squad breaches the entrance, demanding a VIP table to celebrate their sweaty exam qualifiers. The host tries to explain the strict hotel rules, but gets blasted by toxic, trashy insults from the furious, arrogant warrior bully. Spectating the drama from her chair, the little girl complains that the poor NPC is getting massively griefed by that toxic wolf player. The chill, mystical hero laughs, mocking the tryhard 7-man squad and labeling them all as arrogant, trash-tier pigs. Tilted out of their minds by the insults, the aggro beasts turn around, ready to demand the kid repeat that trash talk to their faces. Closing the gap with heavy footsteps, the squad's wolf leader charges in to stare down the cocky kid chilling at his dinner table. The toxic monster instantly recognizes the kid, loudly calling out the trash-tier scrub from Aoyang's elite school. Humiliating the staff, the goons surround the table, threatening to PK the low-ranked kid right there in the restaurant. Faking a slip, the aggro player intentionally spills a massive mug of beer, aiming to splash the quiet, low-tier kid's uniform. Like a top-tier rogue, the school genius dodges the liquid, catches the cups, and hurls the booze right back into the faces of the attacking troglodytes, giving them a humiliating, muddy shower. Absolutely mouthing over the disrespect, Wang Zhou pops his beast mode, triggering his bare arms and swearing a permanent game over for the noob. Terrified by the chaos, the little sister jumps up screaming for an extraction, begging with pure panic in her eyes. The beast's horned arm comes crashing down, but gets instantly stuffed by a flawless parry from behind. Crushing the arrogant wolf's wrist, an elite master steps in, shutting down the bully with pure rage to protect his friends in the capital. Frozen and shrinking, Wang Zhou recognizes the massive aura of Liu Tao, a bizarrely overpowered rank B elite from the top 50 players on the leaderboards. Crying and begging for mercy, the scared bully stutters, trying to justify his toxic PK attempt by claiming the kid in the chair is just a powerless, zero-stat trash player. Blind with rage, the elite warrior Liu Tao slaps the cowardly goons, screaming toxic insults at Wang Zhou for daring to touch his highly respected brothers. Knocked to the floor with a bleeding mouth, the crying minion stutters, refusing to believe the hero in the chair is actually friends with the server's top tiers. The heavy footsteps echo, revealing mysterious voices in the back screaming that their friends absolutely did not make a mistake. Walking in completely chill, the senior beast Lu Yuan adjusts his gear, yelling at the trash mob that if he hadn't arrived a second late, he would have personally deleted them. The cowardly squad completely suffocates in panic, swallowing their shock as they realize the legendary S-tier elites from all 7 schools just spawned into the steakhouse. Quick and smooth, Zhang Yan smiles and mentions how crazy the RNG was to run into Xia Ouyuan, hyping the bromance they forged back in the poison dungeon. Blushing bright red from the friendly nickname being leaked to the casuals, the elite throws a tantrum, begging his rival to mute the cute nicknames in front of the trash mobs. The bullies swallow the harsh truth, terrified to confirm that the mega-rich, legendary heir is actually casually chatting with the low-tier kid. Cutting the meat, the top-rank hero demands the rich kid put his misbehaving pawns in line, telling him to settle the beef with his fists if he wants to enjoy a peaceful dinner. Cornered and cooked, the arrogant macho man sweats bullets, realizing he just dug a massive dark hole for himself and fell right into it. Drunk on pain and stuck in a dark game-over screen, the troublemaker fails to process the mysteries, wondering how the bottomless pit of that dungeon threw the pawns into a dark, overpowering aura right into the crosshairs of pure panic.